Hello everyone and welcome back to the Triple Crown Wargaming Studio, where you join me the Lore Master and him the Chieftain for another instalment in our Deep Dive series.
James, they're all finished. They're all finished.
They're not. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in a deep dive war, we are back.
Wading through murky waters this time round, to be honest.
Now, if you're not aware, the Deep Dive series is a set of videos dedicated to the competitive analysis of every army book, which are finished, and supplement in Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition. And in today's video, we are going to break down the End Times Nagash supplement. So it is the first episode of End Times based content.
It's starting. It's starting.
We're going to look at all of the special rules in this supplement. We're going to look at the specific laws of magic, any mundane equipment, and we'll analyse every unit and special character choice in there as well, with our dedicated rating system. So if you're looking for the ultimate guide to competitive play with the End Times Nagash supplement, well, you have come to the right place. So before we get started, we'll give you a bit of a breakdown of today's video. Now, if you're a regular deep diver, you might want to stick around today for this part because it's ever so slightly different. Because there's a little bit of a mixture with this book. It's not just kind of one faction.
It's not all undead.
Yeah, that's it. So firstly, we're going to outline how our rating system works. Some of you will skip that because you've seen it before, but it's still very valuable. Then we're going to go through the Undead Legions and their special rules. Then we're going to take a look at the Legion kind of competitively. So we'll have a look at their special character ratings and their unit ratings and how they might interact. Then we're going to go through the other special characters in this book in a whole new section.
The living characters.
The living characters, if you will. So there's other special characters for different factions. We're going to cover those as well. Then we'll take an analysis of the Lore of Undeath. And then finally, we will discuss some sample competitive army lists for the Undead Legion. And we'll do those in a kind of non-comp framework and within the Triple Crown Wargaming comp system as well. So, are you ready? What is that?
That's my magic fingers.
That's your magic fingers.
Ooh, spooky fingers.
Spooky fingers. Without further ado, let's get cracking. So here we are once again with a brief explanation or recap, if you are a regular diver, into how our rating system works. So firstly, we divide every unit in an army book, or in this case in a supplement, into its battlefield roles. Now this creates a system that accurately represents how competitive a unit is at its job. So just because a unit won't kill 50 models at a turn or a game, or just doesn't kill lots basically, doesn't mean that it isn't competitive. So the battlefield roles are as follows. We have battle line units. These are the regiments that form the fighting line of your army. We have flanking units, those shock elements that you use for hitting enemies, unsurprisingly, in the flanks, in support of your battle line units. We have ranged units. Does what it says on the tin. They are dedicated shooting threats. We have chaff units. Now those are the units that you might use for hitting lone targets, like war machines, or you might sacrifice them for battlefield advantage. We also have support units. Now those are those uniquely Warhammer units that offer buffs or damage and debuffs, unlike anything else. And then we have special characters, which is, unsurprisingly,
what this book's about.
What this book's about, yes. There's lots of good special characters. Now there are 15 different criteria for scoring. However, each of the battlefield roles are scored on the 6 of those criteria that are most relevant for their role. Now we're going to outline which the criteria used for each of the battlefield roles, and all of the details, the full shebang, can be found on triplecrownwargaming.com. Now I believe there's a link posted on the Deep Dives page to that.
Yes. Maybe. Yes.
We need the splitter, the missing Duke to remind us of that specifically. Now, each of the criteria that we use to assess our battlefield roles give you a value out of 4, which means that 6 criteria, value out of 4, everything gets a score out of 24. The higher the number, the more competitive at its job it is. It's really simple.
Makes sense.
It does. So the criteria for each battlefield role, going back to the cheat sheet, are battle line units, strength of attacks, number of attacks, special rules, command options, survivability, and cost. Flanking units have strength of attacks, number of attacks, special rules. They have manoeuvrability, survivability, and cost. Ranged units have threat range, strength of their shots, their accuracy, their versatility, their survivability, and their cost. Chaff units are hit on manoeuvrability, the number of attacks they generate, their special rules, the slot they come from, their survivability, and, you guessed it, their cost. Support units are scored on manoeuvrability, their special rules, the synergy they offer, the risk you take with them, their survivability, and their cost. And special characters are covered on output, special rules, synergy, risk, survivability, and
Cost!
yeah! Now, handy tip is if a unit is scoring 18 or greater, it's generally a very competitive choice at its job. So with all of that tidied up, it's time for us to get stuck in to Undead Legions and their special rules. So with all of the formalities out of the way, Max, let's deep dive.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. Now, the End Times Nagash gives you an entirely new way to play Tomb Kings and Vampire Counts from your collections, and it is called Undead Legions. Now, the Undead Legion army list combines units from both of these books, and we're going to do a little bit more on that later. As a result, the special rules section for Undead Legions contains a mammoth 7 special rules, which all replace the ones found in both Warhammer Armies Tomb Kings and Warhammer Armies Vampire Counts. Whew.
A lot of this stuff is going to be recurring from the separate army.
There's
books.
a lot of crossover here, guys, but there are subtle changes to some of these rules that make a big difference. So, first up we have Undead. Models with this rule are unbreakable, they are unstable, and they cause fear. Now, they may only ever choose to hold as a charge reaction and cannot make march moves unless they are within 12 inches of their general. Big change for Tomb King players here, because they can now make march moves if they're within 12 inches of their general in this list, which they couldn't do in their old list. So very useful.
18 inches of his large target as well.
Yep, they note that large target doesn't affect the bubble.
Oh, okay, no, that's not.
Large target doesn't affect the bubble.
Yeah.
Very consistent special rule, which we score at 3 points on the special rules rating system, thanks to, well, its consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not else to say.
This is one of the first subtle changes to Undead Legions as well.
You can totally bank on the power of this rule, and I love it. I love the fact that I can go in knowing realistically, in a lot of scenarios, that it is impossible for my unit to be broken.
Yeah.
Huge. Now, there are drawbacks. We talk about Undead a lot. The unbreakable, unstable combination, meaning that if you lose combats with multiple units,
they're all going to start crumbling out at that point in time.
bad things happen.
You don't want to charge. You want to flank charge the whole thing up because you were giving away combat res, which means giving away wounds.
You just have to be really careful with how you stack up the number. But as we go through this book, you're going to see there's so many ways with Undead Legions and with the units presented in them, which actually, because we're such cool guys at Triple Crown Wargaming, we let you include some of those units in your normal Tomb Kings and Vampire Counts armies as well. But there's so many ways to reduce those effects of losing wounds from lost combats that it's a whole different ballgame, really. This rule becomes arguably even better than it is in a normal list.
It does, because you also replace Nehekar and Undead.
Yeah, that's gone now.
Yeah, so they do say designers note Undead and Nehekar and Undead. If you're fielding units from Warhammer Tomb Kings and an Undead Legion's army, replace every occurrence of Nehekar and Undead in the rules text with Undead. If special rule affects models with the Undead special rule, it also affects models with Nehekar Undead special rule, and vice versa.
So we can probably take the opportunity now to make a quick mention on that. I think we'll probably cover it more streamlinedly later, but ultimately what this means is when you start looking at any ability that says friendly Undead, friendly Nehekar and Undead, that now affects anything from the Vampires book and anything from the Tomb Kings book.
Top of your head, that stuff like Lore of Undead, the Lore of Vampires, or the Resurrecting, My Will Be Done.
Yeah, My Will Be Done. That's a huge one. That's a big one. Things like
Corpse Carts.
Corpse Cart. Yeah, another good one.
Mortis Engines.
Hire a Titan affects
everything.
Vampiric Wizards as well now, which is pretty strong. And the Laws of Magic. That's the crucial one for me.
Yeah.
When it says, friendly Nehekar and Undead gain Killing Blow. Actually, it's just Undead, so you can give Killing Blow now to zombies.
Or
Bounce.
Invocation of Heck now raises more models for your Tomb Kings army.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of talk about that later on.
But that's something that's going to come up, I think, a lot. We are going to discuss that quite a bit.
So Vampiric is up next. Units entirely composed of models with Vampiric special rule can make march moves regardless of their proximity to the general. Another great special rule.
Simple.
Can't complain.
Yeah.
It allows you to place those units outside of the 12-inch bubble of the general and still move as fast. So it just makes space for those non-vampiric units. It's what I love about it in the Vampire Count's army book.
You love sticking like a Vargulf on the flank.
Drop a Vargulf on a flank, keep my other stuff near the vampire. Even if you've got a cohesive battle line, it just means you've got that 24-inch block, and then you've got your vampiric units tagged on the ends. And it's really good in the mid-game as well, when they maybe have got away, particularly with things like Blood Knights that have to overrun.
Oh no.
It does, however, affect how many wounds a model can restore, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
But should we move on?
Yes.
We're going to keep it punchy with this. So Undead Battle Standard Bearers is our third rule. In addition to the normal rules for Battle Standard Bearers, so that's hold your ground.
Which they won't make use of. For some spells and some effects you have to take leash tests, like march tests.
March tests, yeah. Swift reforms.
Other ones out there. Some spells make you take leash tests.
Yep.
Slashing Shards is one of them, the one that comes off the top of my head.
Yep. So the casket spell as well.
Oh yeah.
So in addition to that, friendly undead units. So this is both flavours now. Thanks to the changes there. Within 12 inches of the Battle Standard Bearer suffer one less wound than they normally would as a result of the unstable special rule. With the units being immune psychology, thanks Unbreakable, that reduction in unstable damage is probably the main reason you're taking the BSB, which is what you were alluding to.
In a normal army, in a normal Vampire Council, a normal Tomb King, that's not a substantial thing. But under Legions, they have their ways of stacking the -1 wound.
Do they ever?
I mean, the max you get is like -4?
No, you can get more.
You get more.
I'll just have a quick thing. If you're an animated construct, you could get...
-5.
No.
No? More?
No,
Less?
more.
More!
More, yeah. You could get -7 to your crumble, I think. Because you'd have one for being animated construct, one for the BSB, and then you could take 3 special choices of Morghast and 2 rare choices of Morghast.
Oh god. And the big bone daddy.
Oh, we could take big Nagash as well, yeah. There's like, I think he might reduce it by 2. There's loads of ways to reduce your crumble, is what we're saying. Yeah, so this helps.
I think it's actually pretty worth to take a BSB in Undead Legions these days.
It's incredible with ethereal units as well. If you're going to chuck them in to hold something up like a single spirit host, they've got a lot of static combat res. You start just taking all of that away and they're just pinned. It's very unpleasant. So...
Take a BSB. They're actually pretty decent in an Undead Legion's army.
And I've got my last point here is I'd argue there's a lot more tactical benefits for a BSB in Undead Legion.
There you go.
Which is what you've strongly pointed out as well. So we'll carry on. Animated constructs.
First of the Tomb Kings.
What was Tomb King rule? Units with this special rule have a 5+ armor save and suffer 1 less wound than they normally would as a result of the unstable special rule.
Yep, and it's cumulative with other similar effects.
It is.
Yeah, boy.
It is. So...
5 arm save's not decent, I suppose.
It's good. It's really good in Undead Legion's list.
And you have a way of getting Scaly Skin because you can take Forbidden Law and Lore of Metal and give them a 3 up arm save.
Yeah, you can now. All of a sudden, you can start dropping their armor save up quite well.
Give your Necro Knights a 1 up armor save.
Yeah, you could.
Woohoo!
Yeah, in Undead Legion, that's very very scary. They become so much better in Legions, the animated constructs.
Yeah, they do.
Because there's more that we'll cover on that later as well with the Resurrection, the Fallen Warriors and stuff. It's just very, very good. It's everything we talked about in the Tomb King version of this deep dive plus, basically. So Arrows of the Asaph are next. This is rule number 5. We are getting there. Fantastic special rule. Units with it do not count bonuses or penalties to hit rolls when shooting. So this is on all of your Tomb King shooting units, and when you look at a 6-point archer with this rule, they are a really great core choice. No questions.
You may hit on 5s, but you're always going to be hitting on 5s.
Yeah, but that's it. It's the always hitting on 5s.
Unless your opponent reduces your ballistic skill, whatever.
But that's the only thing, is reduction of ballistic skill actually physically affects it. But with Forbidden Law, you could use... Is there ways of boosting ballistic skill?
+1 hit Enchanted Blades.
Yeah, they wouldn't get the +1 to hit from Enchanted Blades.
I thought it was shooting and combat.
Yeah, but they wouldn't get it because they don't suffer bonuses or penalties.
Oh, they get bonuses.
Yeah, no, so it's just always on their unmodified. I'm trying to think, is there a way to... There are spells that do it, but I don't think there's any battle magic laws that do it. I don't think they
have access to it.
Yeah. So
the one I'm thinking of is Hand of Glory.
Hand of Glory is the one I'm thinking of as well. Yeah, we'll try and have a think and see if we can come up with one way of improving that. But yeah, good, very good. So, and it also gives you shooting now in a vampire army.
Yeah, which they did lack if you didn't just crutch on Terrorgeist all the time.
Well, yes. It's more the fact that you're talking about like
The actual generic shooting.
chaff clearance.
Yeah.
You're talking about kind of just bombing through units. I like that. It's a good rule. It's always no different in Undead Legions to Tomb Kings. It's a good rule. Our penultimate special rule is the return of a nightmare, entombed beneath the sands.
Are you going to let me read this?
I am, because it's a lot of text. This version includes the FAQ note from the Tomb King army book about it being optional, which is a bonus. I have here is still as bad as it was in the Tomb King deep dive, and even less useful as Tomb Kings can march in this list. That's my final point.
Oh, wow.
But let's go for it. Let's cover it.
Right.
In case you didn't see the Tomb King deep dive.
I didn't. I wasn't here, so this is the first time I go for this.
Okay, go for it.
So a unit with a special rule has the ambusher special rule with the following modifications. That's always a good start. That's always a good start. When these units enter the battle in the remaining move subphase, they do not move onto the board as reinforcements in the normal way. Instead, place a small marker, such as a coin, anywhere on the battlefield that is not impassable terrain or within 1 inch of another unit. Roll the scatter dice and artillery dice. If you roll a hit on the scatter dice, the marker stays in place. If you roll an arrow, move the marker in a direction shown by the number of inches equal to the result of the artillery dice. If the marker's new position is under a unit, friend or foe, impassable terrain or a building, place it 1 inch away from the closed edge to the unit/terrain. Once the final position of the marker is established, place the emerging unit in a legal formation such that it touches the marker facing any direction. If you roll a misfire or for any reason some models of the unit cannot be placed, then the unit is not placed. Instead, remove the marker, roll a d6 and consult the mishap table below on the next page.
Yep.
If a unit is placed successfully, it may act normally for the remainder of the turn. Only characters that have Entombed Beneath the Sands can be deployed within such units. If you have several units with this special rule arriving within the same turn, repeat the process 1 unit at a time. A unit of Entombed Beneath the Sands may choose to deploy normally along with the rest of the army if the owning player wishes.
Thankfully, that part exists.
Yes, because if you are ambushes, that you have to do that.
Yeah.
If the owning player wishes, in this case, the owning player must clearly state this to his opponent before either player begins deploying their army.
Excellent.
The mishap table. Here we go. So mishaps are roll dice 1 to 2. Reclaimed by the desert. Unit's dead.
Just dead.
See you later.
See you later.
That like big unit sepulchral stalkers, tomb scorpions.
I mean, to be fair, if there's sepulchral stalkers, you just saved your enemy half a round of shooting.
Yeah.
Necro
Knights.
You can do Necro Knights, which is wild that you would.
Or you can take the banner of the Hidden Legion.
The one that I think it's really painful on is stuff like scorpions, because they're actually really good.
They're useful.
They're really great little units. They're tough. They're 50mm base, so they can get around the table really quickly. And in a list like this where they march, I think they move 14 inches with a march.
What's their movement normal?
I think it's 7.
Ooh.
So they are no slouches, Tomb Scorpions.
How many legs do they have?
They've got 6.
Okay, so the opposite of your Ragnarok.
Yeah, but not really, because they've got a tail. And that can help to push them further forward, you see.
Get out of it.
Yeah, the Ragnarok is a clear issue. It's a clear violation of the rules.
Stop. I'm going to stop you there. Calm down. Leave the Ragnarok. Right, 3 to 4 is buried too deep. The unit is not placed this turn, but you will be able to try again next turn to see if it works.
You can try to kill your own unit again.
See if it arrives following the same process. I like it says you will be able to try again next turn. Not you can try, you will be able to try.
You will be able to do it.
Okay, so it saves them. So at least it's not bad, but it means you've got to go through this entire process again.
Rickroll again.
Yeah. And then 5 to 6 is Shifting Sands. The unit enters the battlefield from any point on a randomly determined board edge, moving on using the rules for reinforcements.
Yeah.
So you just, at that point in time, you are just an ambusher.
Yeah. So...
Don't use this rule.
Yeah, it's not great, guys. I mean, again, I said, if you are going to, I don't mind it on Scorpions.
I think Tomb Swarms can do it.
Yeah, and I don't mind it on them, because they're terrible anyway. But
poison attacks.
Yeah, so at least they're sort of getting in quick to do the poison. But I just think so often you're just disappointed. You'd rather have those units in your battle line, particularly when you can march in this list. It's a huge change to the way Tomb Kings play. It really is. So on to our final special rule is resurrecting fallen warriors. Now this one is really a how to do this process rule rather than anything new. It's just telling you how it works.
I'm going to see the fact you've written 2 lines for this. You're going to make me read
it. Actually says let's read through it.
So we're going to do it as a team, yeah?
No, you can take the lead.
Okay, so resurrecting fallen warriors. Some magic spells and items restore lost wounds and even resurrect fallen warriors in undead units. Wounds regained in this way follow a strict order. First, the unit champion is resurrected. I always like that. I keep coming back to it. Is that you? I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, that's the unit champion. I've lost count of the times my Tomb King Archer champion has died to Bloodthirsters. Comes back up and he's like, "You want to go again?"
I didn't hear no bell.
Bloodthirster's like, "Really? I just powdered you."
Right, so the champion is resurrected.
So good.
Then the musician. Standard bearers are never resurrected. The banner has been destroyed. The banner crumbles to dust. Displacing rank and file models as required. Then rank and file models with mob wounds, including command figures, are healed to their starting value. Finally, any wounds resurrect rank and file models. Any remaining wounds, sorry, I was about to say, that's a weird sentence. Any remaining wounds resurrect rank and file models. There's a lot of R's.
Yeah, there was, wasn't there? You guys seem to have a problem with that.
In the case of mob wound rank and file models, the first resurrected models must be fully healed before another can be resurrected. So that's like your monstrous infantry.
Yeah, Crypt Horrors. That's what I always think of that.
You Shabty.
Yeah, which are better in this list.
They are.
I'm not saying they're good, they're better.
You can give more models that way.
Well, you can get a lot more back in this version.
Resurrected models are added to the front rank until it reaches at least 5 models or 3 models if the target is monstrous infantry, monstrous beasts, monstrous cavalry, or chariots, which do have. Additional models can then be added to the front or rear rank. If the unit already has more than one rank, models can only be added to the rear rank. A unit cannot be taken beyond
It's starting size.
No, they've written the sentence twice. A unit cannot be taken beyond its starting size.
Okay, so there's a mistake in the official book.
There's a typo in there. They wrote so twice. Yeah, a unit cannot be taken beyond its starting size.
So you can't go above. But we all know that if you look in the Vampires book, for example, there are things that then kind of caveat this, and zombies can go above
Master
starting size.
of the Dead.
Master of the Dead, less skeletons go above. So there are ways around that, but in general, you can't go above starting size.
Unless specifically stated otherwise, spells and magical items that can restore lost wounds cannot heal characters and their mounts.
So important clarification that people often miss. So using your invocation of Nehek, for example,
Can't restore lost wounds.
that's not going to give your vampires or your Tomb King's wounds back,
That's
but
what
your lore attribute can.
So that's what your lore attribute's for. If a character is joined a unit, only the units will recover lost wounds. Furthermore, I'm struggling.
Max words well.
I'm struggling really badly. Furthermore, units with the animated construct, vampiric, ethereal, or large targets special can only recover a single lost wound per successful casting of a spell used for an item that restores lost wounds.
Tomb King players, rejoice.
What?
Because you were limited in the previous
a wound
book
per phase?
to a wound per phase on your animated constructs, per magic phase in the Tomb King army book. And this was a limit that was placed through the way wounds are restored through their Lore of Magic. This is completely overriding that now. It's giving you the power to say, well, no, I get 1 per spell.
Yeah. So rather than just regaining 1 wound on your Shabty unit, you can regain a few more.
Well, if you can cast a few spells, you can get a few more. It's good. It's good. And the lore attribute from Lore of Vampires can also restore additional wounds on them because they're multi-wound models.
They are, yeah.
So again, you're a lot better off. We said all along, animated constructs, they really benefit. So yeah, stuff like Tomb Scorpions loses a couple of wounds. You'll get them back on him very easily. If
he's close by, close by to everything.
You can easily get the wounds back on him now.
But that is Resurrecting Fallen Warriors.
So, we've done our how-to. We've pointed out some of the things that have changed. A lot of it remains the same.
There is one other designer's note here,
which I've got here. So the
final
thing we need to address is the one rule for Undead that is missing. So Vampire players will be thinking, I haven't heard him say about General of the Undeath. And Tomb King players will be saying, where are Hierophants? Well, there is a very handy designer's note which is going to cover this. So shall we go through it?
Yeah. Veteran players will notice that the rules pertaining to Generals of Undeath, the Hierophants in Warhammer Vampire Counts and Warhammer Tomb Kings, do not appear in these rules. This is quite deliberate. Before Nagash's resurrection, these characters, or their laws of magic, were necessary to maintain an army of the dead, and the magical animus binding the undead warriors begins to dissipate on the destruction of the army's general or Hierophant, causing their warriors to crumble. However, under Nagash's influence, the undead no longer require constant incantations of a lesser wizard to sustain them. As a result, all rules pertaining to Generals of Undeath or the Hierophants are no longer required.
This is a very, very big change.
I mean, a lot of people's game plan against undead models was gun for the controlling player, gun for the controlling
Get
wizard.
the general.
Get the general, get the wizard.
Yeah, particularly Tomb Kings. Get the Hierophant and watch them take the tests.
Well, in their free
people don't take the Tomb King characters very often. They don't take the high leadership characters.
No.
So, you might be alright on your animated constructs because they crumble a bit less and because of leadership 8, but on your kind of units, particularly your fast cavalry and your skeleton blocks and things like that, you are taking a lot of wounds.
Not anymore.
This gives a huge amount of additional flexibility and it makes the army a lot more resilient than a regular undead army.
It's crazy.
If you are attending an event where you can make your normal army undead legions without a penalty, I mean, this rule alone should convince you that you should do it.
If there is no penalty to do it, then there's no reason to not do it.
Yeah, it's bad enough when your key character dies. Then taking a load of additional wounds on your army is horrible. So, as a veteran undead player for more than a decade, I have to say that you love to see this change.
Must admit, it's like it changed a lot because you can go basically, because a lot of Vampire players take the Blend Lord and then take a level 4 Necromancer. You no longer have to take the level 4 Necromancer if you don't want to.
Well, no, because he would just be casting your spells.
Yeah, he would be casting, but you don't need him because he'd be your general. No, he wouldn't be the general.
No. The vampire would be, yeah. But suddenly it's a lot less of a risk to have all your wizard levels on that vampire, for example.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, if he dies, I'm not going to take loads of.
If he blows up, he blows up.
Wounds, yeah. So this is I always think this rule, we didn't realise it at the time. This was a massive indication of how the End Time series was going to take tons of weaknesses out of the armies, out of the established armies in the game.
People raise an eyebrow to this when these sort of rules came. You're like, oh wow.
These are good. They're huge improvements. These special rules to armies that quite frankly, with Vampire Counts were very competitive already. But
gives a breath of life to Tomb Kings.
Yeah, it really did. Really allowed you a lot of choice with them. But they pale into insignificance in terms of how strong they are when you start looking at the later supplements, particularly Kane. Beyond ridiculous when we get into that supplement, ladies and gentlemen.
That joke there.
But I think we didn't realise what this was trending towards.
This is tame.
Yeah, it is tame.
This is tame.
I've just explained how good it is.
This is tame.
So, also, note that 50% Lords and Heroes has come in now.
Yes, so armies of the end times at this point in time. Yeah,
which mean that your allowances for Lords and Heroes are increased to 50% from 25%. Now, we don't do that at our events, and we did it for the first 2 years, and that we ran Triple Crown, the GT, and we took a lot of feedback on it, and people... Generally, the feedback was we actually much preferred it. 25%. We like the balance of armies better. It made the game more interesting.
I prefer 25 because you are if you got 50%, you are somewhat tempted to just go all out of it.
You lost count when that was the kind of standard for events. I lost count of the times that you would show up and the guy would have 7 characters and have 3 units. You're like, I'm not fighting an army anymore. I'm basically fighting a stag do.
You're playing Hero Hammer.
I'm basically fighting a stag do. The general and his 6 best mates, and there's some people watching.
Just as the bystanders.
Yeah, so I think we've shied away from that, but we will touch back on 50% Lords and Heroes because it is a crucial part of how this supplement and a lot of them operate in their kind of fullest. But it does do a lot to alleviate the worst kind of sins of the supplement to take them back to 25%.
And again, I will say this though: the armies of the end times. This is also tame compared to what happened in Arkel.
Yeah, it all gets a bit wild.
It goes mad.
But more on that in a future video.
I'm going to say in about 4 months' time.
Yes. So, with all of our Undead Legion special rules out of the way, we need to have a look at the Undead Legion units and special character ratings. So, we're going to head over to do that now. Okay, so we're going to start this section by outlining, well, what you can actually take in an Undead Legion's army list.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that you can't take from Warhammer Armies Tomb Kings and Warhammer Armies Vampire Counts.
Mainly the special...
Some of the special characters, yeah.
Mainly those.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other things, but it's probably worth us explaining what you can actually select from. So... Mr. Chieftain, would you like to just go through it?
How am I going to do this?
I think you just got to read it out.
Yeah, okay. So, in this bit here, this is Armies of the End Times here, and this is the Undead Legion's army list here, yeah? I'm glad if you can see that there. It says, so Undead Legion's army can include any of the units in the listed below, with the exception of those units and characters detailed later in this section, denoted by an N in brackets. Because all the units on this page, I've got brackets after them to tell you what book they're from.
Yeah, they'll either say VC for Vampire Counts or TC for Tomb Kings. TK, sorry.
TK.
TC. TC's Top Cat. Sorry, for all of you people of a certain age.
I was going to say Tomb Cat.
No, Top Cat was the one, but Tomb Cat is also good.
So, yeah.
But yeah, TK for Tomb Kings.
If it's got an N, it means it's a new, fresh edition from this book.
Yeah, it's Nagash.
That's pretty much what this paragraph is going on about. You must use the unit profiles, points, costs of equipment, options, and special rules found in either Warhammer Vampire Counts, denoted by VC, or Warhammer Tomb Kings, denoted by TK.
So it's worth explaining there. What you can't do is say, I'm going to take a Tomb King and I'm going to give him Scab Scrath. Because Scab Scrath is a Vampire Counts item, and you can't do that. You can't mix and match your items over.
I don't think the Vampire will be willing to give the Tomb King his best weapon.
No, it's just not happening.
So in terms of what you can take then, are we ready? So, in
in
your Lord section, you can take Nagash, unsurprisingly. You can take Manfred von Carstein, Mortarch of Night, Arkan the Black, Mortarch of Sacrament, Neferata, Mortarch of Blood, Krell, Mortarch of Despair, Vlad von Carstein, Mortarch of Shadow, a Vampire Lord, a Master Necromancer, a Strigoi Ghoul King, High Queen Khalida, Tomb King, Lich High Priest. Those are your Lords.
So what you are missing there is...
Cetra.
Yeah.
The Herald Nakaf.
No, he's
Cetra. You're missing basic Arkan.
Yeah.
Because Arkan's been upgraded.
You're missing basic Manfred.
Count Manfred you're missing
as
well.
Yeah, and you're missing...
Vlad von Carstein, basic Vlad.
Yeah, there's also one more you're missing. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Is it a Vampire one? Or you're missing Kemler.
Kemler.
You're missing Kemler.
Thank you. Excellent.
Yes, those are the ones there.
Yep.
So you're missing the sort of the upgraded ones or the characters that died.
Yeah. Heroes.
Right, so into heroes, you can take a Necromancer, a Vampire, a White King, a Khan Wraith, a Tomb Banshee, Prince of Popas, or Pophas.
He's still in!
Yeah. Tomb Prince, Tomb Herald, Lich Priest, and Necrotect.
Big hurt here is the loss of Ramhotep the Visionary, in my opinion.
He dies in the Siege of Khemri, as does... Sorry, you're also missing, from the Lord, you're also missing Grand Hierophant Katep.
Katep, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so huge loss. Katep's good as well. Huge loss, though, for me, Ramhotep, because the animated constructs get so much better in this list. It's a shame that we can't also have the big man with them.
It also gives, hatred and frenzy to your Graveguard.
Yeah, very, very strong.
That would have been very good.
Yeah, so it's a shame that that's missing. There are others as well. Conrad, Isabella.
Nakaf.
The Acolyte, Nakaf.
Yeah. Basic Krell. Krell's now been upgraded to a Lord.
Yeah, and still... more on that later. Cool.
In the core units, you can take your zombies, your skeleton warriors, for vampire cast skeleton warriors. You can take crypt ghouls, dire wolves, skeleton warriors from Tomb Kings. There's two separate options there. I don't think there's any difference apart from the leadership value. Points? Are they same points?
I think they are. I think the leadership value is the only difference.
Yeah, because for the Tomb Kings, leadership 5 and vampires, leadership 3.
3, I think, yeah.
Skeleton archers, skeleton horsemen, skeleton horse archers, and skeleton chariots.
This is a big win for vampires because the one thing they don't have in their core is fast cavalry.
Or shooting.
And now they have both.
Yeah. So good stuff there. So in special units, you can take a corpse cart, grave guard, black knights, crypt horrors, fell bats, bat swarms, spirit hosts, hex race, vargeist, tomb guard, necropolis knights, tomb scorpion, ushabti, tomb swarm, carrion, Khemri the war sphinxes, sepulchral stalkers, and a new boy, which is the Morghast harbingers.
So yeah, just a few smattering of special choices in there.
Again, nothing. You've not lost anything.
No, you've not lost any in there.
And just it all combines together, and you got really filthy stuff there as well.
Yeah, more on those combos later.
Yeah, and then in your rare units, you got Vargolfs, Blood Knights, Khan Wraiths, the unit, the Black Coach, if you want, Terrorgeists, Mortis Engines, Necrolith Colossuses, Hero Titans.
Hero.
Necrosphinxes, Screaming Skull Catapults, Casket of Souls, and another new boy, which is the Morghast Archive.
Cannot stress how good the Horror Titan is in this list as well. Because he starts suddenly affecting Nagash, Manfred, Arkan, all those other characters.
All your Master Necros you running around as well.
Yeah, really strong. And again, you can do some funky stuff as well with the Mortis Engine and him and stack up your cast values even higher. It just gets beyond silly.
So that is your army list.
So, unlike other army book deep dives, we're not going to divide and rate every single one of those units.
No, we're not.
It's just just too much. And
mammoth. You thought the Skaven would be long.
Realistically, the ratings aren't going to change I mean, basically anything that was flanking for Tomb Kings can now march, so it's going to go up a point of rating.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Beyond that, and I think things like chariots can't anyway, so they're not going to change. Beyond that, I can't think of anything that would feasibly change its rating as a result of
the Necrosphinx would get 4 in manoeuvrability.
As opposed to a 3.
Was he get a 3 last
Well, he
time?
flies, and then he minuses 1 because he can't march.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be 1, basically.
I see, basically, I thought it was a lower manoeuvrability score.
No, because he gets the max, because he flies, and then he has to dock 1. So you're looking at anything that's got manoeuvrability that can march now that couldn't before, so anything that's not chariot or hovering gets +1. So it's good, but we're not going to go through. I think there's about 70 units there.
I'm not going to count.
There's a lot. And we're just not going to do it. We already have the ratings for them in the Tomb King and Vampire Deep Dives, respectively. So head over to there and check them out if you're trying to get a better picture. Now, if you look at the Undead Legion army list, it tells you which army book they come from, as Max said already. So you know which deep dive to look for the scores in as well. So just go, I want to find out what
the score was for my Bat
Bat Swarms, Vampire Counts, job done. And a lot of the time you can probably work it out from what they are, because you don't have two... You wouldn't associate sort of
Bat Swarms
with Tomb Kings or Corpse Carts with Tomb Kings.
You won't tip Tomb Guard for Vampire Counts. The only thing that is crossed over is Skeleton Warriors. But I think even their scores in the respective deep dives probably would be very similar.
Yeah, I think they probably are. I'm just going to check back on my cheat sheet. What we are going to do, though, is take a look at the unique Undead Legion units and special characters instead in this one section.
Mm-hmm.
And the non-Undead Legions characters will be in the next section, because there are some of those that are going to come later as well. So,
shall we start?
We shall. There are only 2 sections to this part of the video. We're going to begin with the flanking units battlefield roll.
Straight to flanking.
Because there are no battle line units that are new. There are only 2 flanking units and new special characters. So those are the 2 battlefield rolls we'll cover. Yeah. So our 2 and of the 2 new rolls, there are 2 flanking units in the flanking unit roll. Excellent. I know what I'm saying. Morghast Harbingers and
Harbingers.
Harbingers, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Harbingers.
Harbingers?
Yeah,
Harbingers?
It depends on how you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Morghast Harbingers and Morghast Archai.
Yes.
Those are our 2 choices. So, we're going to start with our Morghast Harbingers, which are coming in with a competitive rating of 20 out of 24.
Oh, out the gate.
You have seen me use these guys on the channel. I love them. I've got 5 painted, which is a lot. They are big models.
They are. The base is meaty.
Yeah, they are, and they're really tall. Yeah. And they really fill that base, to be fair.
They do stand out quite well. I do quite like the models themselves. I think the models look gorgeous. I do like the purple colour scheme they've got on these ones, though.
Yeah, I did mine in the animated construct colours, so they match my Tomb Kings. So the Marvel effect, okay. Yeah, so I've got time with Tomb Kings.
Anyway, better back to Morghast Harbingers.
Sorry, so 20 out of 24. We get there with 3 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for manoeuvrability, 3 for survivability, and 3 for cost. They are expensive, but boy, can you do some stuff to exploit these guys.
80 points a model. You start off with 2. So you don't have to go mad.
And this is how we're going to get into the exploitation side of them. So let's just take a moment to discuss the stat line.
Yeah,
these are a unit.
They've got a meaty
stat line. So let's just see what the meaty unit stat line is.
So they are movement 6.
When they're walking around. More on that later.
They're weapon skill 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Bliss skill 3. I know. Okay, Bliss skill is not as good as a Corn Demon Bliss skill.
No. Fortunately, they don't shoot.
Strength and toughness of 5.
Yeah.
4 wounds.
4.
Initiative 4. 3 attacks. Leadership 10.
Leadership 10.
Yeah. They are...
Equipment. 2 hand weapons. So 4 attacks each.
Yeah.
In combat.
And heavy armour. So you got 5 arm save as well.
Yeah, which you can then stack up if you've got like Forbidden Law.
If you've got Forbidden Law, Law of Metal, yeah.
But real talk.
Right? I mean, their special rules is where they come out as well.
They have hover, So a little bit of a shame. They fly, but they can't march, which is why they get a 3 for manoeuvrability.
Yeah.
But what's really great is that it means they're still swift stride plus 10 to charge, which is humongous. They can still charge over units, and because they're a flying unit, they skirmish, so they're -1 to be shot at as well, which is rough because you don't want to fight toughness 5 4 wound models in combat with weapon skill 5. They cause terror as well, so we're back to that really horrible combination, flying with terror, really dirty. They have killing blow as well because, you know, why not? And they're undead. And again, killing blow, let's think about the synergy with the Lore of Nakara and giving them additional
5+ killing
blow.
Give them additional attacks.
And that's also giving them D3 +1 wounds back because they are not animated constructs.
No, they're just undead.
Which means they get the maximum wounds every time. Hideous.
Yeah, weird.
They have an additional special rule.
Yep, so they have Heralds of the Accursed One. So units with special rule and all friendly units with the undead special rule within 12 inches of them suffer 1 less wound than they normally would due to the unstable special rule, in addition to any other modifiers that apply.
Huge.
So this is where the stacking begins.
Yeah. So what we can do with these guys is we can effectively stack them up with things like animated constructs, with battle standard bearers, with other units, because it doesn't say one or more.
No.
It says
units with this special rule.
Units with this special rule.
And all friendly units with the undead special rule within 12 inches of them.
So the amount of times I've seen people take 3 units of 2.
Get -3 to
They use them as shock splash because they've still got 4 attacks each and a stomp because they're monstrous.
Yep.
You know, loads of attacks still with 2. You can stack them up with the Lore of Magic to make them even more gnarly. They've got killing blow. They cause terror. So this is all really horrible. And you've now got a -3 crumble or in the middle of your army without a BSB.
Would be,
yeah. I mean, it's just easy, and they're special, so you can spend half your army's points.
That's the amount of attacks they pump out, you probably are going to be winning the combats with them. So even if you lose, you're probably going to be losing by like 1 or 2.
They are
maybe.
great fighters. These guys.
Yeah,
they really are.
You've
good.
used them. I've seen a lot of people use like units of 4, and they are, in a sense, you're like.
I took a unit of 5 to Warfare many years ago, and I didn't lose them in a single game.
Did you lose any? Did you lose any models?
I lost models. Yeah.
You just didn't lose the unit.
Yeah, I mean, in one game they killed 8 Demigryph Knights. It took them all game.
So that's the thrill of all saves the girl get through.
Yeah, because the armour.
Jesus.
But the thing is that they are taking wounds off me every turn. I'm just stacking them back on.
Yeah, you are.
Because they get wounds back so readily and they lose less on the
crumble. Yeah, the fact that they're not animated constructs and the fact they are just undead.
Weapon skill 5.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's a Warrior Chaos stat line.
Yeah, they're great. So I've got some notes here. I'm just going to blitz through them. Some of it we've covered, but I don't want to miss anything. So in our events, Triple Crown Wargaming events, we allow you to take these in both Tomb Kings and Vampire armies, as well as in the Undead Legion list.
Because in Nagash you can only be included in a Vampire Council army or an Undead Legion
Yeah,
army.
we give them to Tomb Kings as well, though, because we think that's
fair.
Well, we just think it's a bit unreasonable that Vampires get them and Tomb Kings don't.
They look a bit more vampiric.
Yeah, the way I've painted mine, though, where I've done them like with bronze weapons and like the marbled armour, I don't think they look...
No, they don't look too
not
dissimilar.
Tomb King-y. Yeah, I think they look alright. So... You should definitely be considering these guys if you're playing, particularly Tomb Kings. I think they're ace. 3 for cost, down to their Heralds of the Accursed One, stacking with, well, everything.
Everything else stacks up.
As we just said. Terror Hover's amazing combination. Toughness and wounds are really strong, I've got. And they restore wounds like infantry, which is silly.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, they're a special choice powerhouse, guys. Can't really say much more.
If you're not taking, say, Necro Knights...
It's them or Necro Knights in the Tomb King list for me. And I've used both, and I think both have got slightly different advantages and disadvantages over the other. But these are fantastic, and the 20 doesn't lie.
No,
they're beastly, and they're good in both types of army, Vamps or Tomb Kings, or in this Legion list, they just get silly with the reduction in crumble.
The magical buffs you can give them with both Lore of Vampires and Lore of Nehekara.
Yeah, and don't forget, like, Lore of Shadow, lowering enemies' initiatives and toughness. Weapon skill and toughness, incredible with them. Yeah. If you put them in a Vamps army, Lore of Light, buffing them up even more, giving them additional attacks, letting them have weapon skill 10 is initiative 10, silly. So good. I want to point out that just dropping the ASF on them with initiative 4 means they re-roll against the vast majority of things they fight.
Yeah, the average initiative is 4.
Yeah, or 3. Yeah, so they're fine. Excellent. So we'll move on. We'll look at the Morghast Archai now. So this is the rare choice version.
So I honestly say I've never seen anyone take these.
I think it's just because that rare slot is so hot to trot.
It's so filled with Terrorgeists.
Well, if you're in Vampires or Undead Legions, Terrorgeists are always a strong choice. But let's not forget, for the Tomb King side, Screaming Skull Catapults, Hyrule Titans, and Casket of Souls. And you start looking and saying, if I've got 4 of these, I can only get, in the Tomb King list, I can only get a Hyrule Titan or a Casket. I can't get both,
Yeah.
and I haven't got any catapults. And I think that's where they fall short.
What's the score?
The score is 21 out of 24, so it's 1 point higher, and I'm going to tell you why. So these guys get a whopping 4 for strength of attacks instead of 3.
Yeah.
And then basically we are largely the same. We've got 4 for number of attacks this time, the same 4 for special rules, 3 for maneuverability, 4 for survivability because they are ever so slightly more survivable.
Yeah, they are.
But we only gave them a 2 for cost because it's harder to stack the crumble reduction with these because they're rare,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can take less.
2, yeah.
2 units instead of 3. Also, they're 10 points a model dearer,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not as points effective a way of stacking it.
No.
And the opportunity cost of these guys we just talked about, Terrorgeist, Hyrule Titans, Casket of Souls. That's what you're trading them off against. Whereas in special, you're not trading them off against that. You're really just trading them off against the overall spend of your army, aren't you? But same stat line.
Same stat, exact same. So it's weapon skill, strength and toughness of 5, 4 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, bliss skill 3, leadership 10. They have equipment wise. They have a halberd. So they are strength 6.
So they've got 1 less attack, but they do get the stomp. But they do go to strength 6, which for Tomb Kings is a real consideration because they don't have really anything that gets there otherwise.
No,
It's really difficult strength 6.
And they also have ebon wrought armor.
Yes.
So ebon wrought armor is a 4 armor save.
So it's better. It's 1 better, which is why they went up a point in survivability.
Yeah.
And that 4+ is a real sweet spot save. It means that against strength 5 that wounds them on a 4+, they still have a cheeky 6
Yeah,
up.
4+ because a lot of stuff will ignore a 5 up, but then not a lot of stuff it completely ignores a 4 up.
Yeah, and as much as people will say a 6 up's not much of a save, when their unit is this tough with this many wounds and it reduces its crumbles, it really can make the difference of having 1 left on a wound at the end and pinning something.
A 6 up is better than a no up.
And that's it. Yeah, I agree.
And they still have all the same special rules: Hover, Killing Blow, Terror, Undead, and Heralds of the Accursed One.
Yeah. So I've got here. It gets better. We again allow you to take these in both Tomb Kings and Vampire Counts armies at our events, as well as Undead Legions lists. So again, they're a consideration. I've put here 2 for cost down to rare. I've explained that. Toughness and wounds still really strong. Still restore wounds the same way. Look, there's not a lot else I can say. Strength 6, 4 up armor save. You love to see them. They're great.
Killing Blow with Halberd is quite nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Although I think again the killing blow with the additional attack's probably slightly better for me, and that's. But you know they're still beating the others out just by the raw power of strength 6, and they're even harder to kill. So. Very strong. Both these choices you should be considering, and more often than not, what decides what ones you see are just the slot. Just the slot.
In all honesty, special slot is not as competitive as the rest slots are.
Yeah, it's just the amount of points you can spend in it, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
that's
that's 625 versus
1,250
at 2.5, and if you're playing bigger, it
gets more.
I tend to see them at 3 and 3.5k a lot more.
Well, the archive.
The archive, then you see them a lot more in those values where they can still get in some of the other things around them because the points gap's gone up. But that's it. That's our 2 flanking units done. But what a set of flanking units they were.
Don't worry, we're going to go and say even better.
And
now.
these ones you do see. You do see these units because they are really competitive. They should be a consideration. So let us move on now to the special characters of the Undead Legions, and they are a raft of terrifying choices in my opinion.
There are some big names in this.
There certainly is. We have Nagash, Supreme Lord of the Undead. We have Manfred von Carstein, Mortarch of the Night. We have Arkan the Black, Mortarch of Sacrament. Neferata, Mortarch of Blood. Krell, Mortarch of Despair. And Vlad von Carstein, Mortarch of Shadow.
This is your undead characters from this book.
It certainly is. It is a roster, and I've included the Mortarch titles here, and we'll try and keep including them, just so you're really clear that this is distinctly different from the army book versions of a lot of these characters. So we might even, it's Mortarch Vlad or Mortarch Manfred, we'll probably say, just to try to keep you in the prize that they are very different. So we're going to start with the Supreme Lord of Undeath, Nagash.
The big bone daddy himself.
He comes in with an eye-watering score of 23 out of 24. 1 point off of the max.
So close.
Yes. He has a 4 for output, a 4 for special rules, a 4 for synergy, a 4 for risk, a 4 for survivability, and a 3 for cost.
Yeah, you were trying to get that more.
First point. I've tried very hard to justify a 4 point for cost. I really did.
For 1,000, he is 1,000 points.
It's 1,000 points. So
he is a lot.
there is so much to go through, and I think...
Do you know what? I've actually been looking forward to going through this because he's such a good character.
Should we go through the stat line and what he's all about?
So stat line wise, he has movement 6. And then weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, wounds are 7. All those.
2 cannon problem.
He is a 2 cannon
Minimum.
Minimum 2 cannon. And ballistic skill 7, you know.
Just in case he picks up that Tomb King bow in one finger.
He doesn't have arrows of the Asaph. That's
a shame. He just had to stick with that BS of 7.
He is as well initiative 6.
6.
And has 6 attacks at leadership 10.
Yeah.
That
Initiative 6 is ace for a big model.
That is an eye-watering stat line.
Yeah, it's painful. I think, hang on, let me see what I've got. I made some good quality, amusing points here, I think. Where is he? Nagash is an omni-threat, one of the most potent wizards in the game, combined with a combat stat line and magic weapon to make a bloodthirster green with envy. Yeah. So should we take a look at the equipment that he's bearing
We're going to do equipment first.
Yeah, let's do equipment first.
So,
there's only a little bit.
Yeah, there's only 4.
I know, it's wild.
So he has Alakanash, the Staff of Power. So it's an arcane item. The staff can be used to store up to 4 power dice.
4.
Remove the dice from your power pool during the magic phase. Nagash can expend any or all of the stored dice in any of future magic phases. So it's not just the next one.
No, he can hold on to them for several phases.
However long he wants to do it for. Allow him to roll up to 10, in addition to the 6 dice he's normally allowed to use when casting a spell. So he can use 10 dice.
If he wants,
to cast a spell. That's mad. I didn't realise he could do that.
Yeah.
I thought the store dice were just there to bring into the power.
If the Duke was using him, they go straight down the hole.
Oh, yeah.
On 2 dice.
He has protection. Note that stored dice may not be used in the same magic phase in which they are stored in the staff. So you can't just store magic dice away and put them back out to give yourself a 10 dice spell.
Yeah. Cheeky.
In addition, the dice stored in the staff may be discarded in the close combat phase before Nagash attacks. Each dice that is discarded confers the heroic killing blow special rule to one of Nagash's attacks, including attacks he makes with the Mortis Blade.
We'll get there in a minute.
Note that you'll need to roll separately for the attacks that have heroic killing blow special rule and those that do not.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost never worth doing that part.
I mean, it's funny when he HKBs anything.
But if you've +1 to your killing blow, then he's doing it on 5. Maybe it's worth a go.
I mean, HKB is when you do it and you scream out HKB.
Yeah, it's nothing like that, is it?
You see you get jealous of the Brett players always.
Something like Magma Dragon, definitely.
Magma Dragon. Some of the
I'll be all over that.
Some of the other big combat laws from the end times.
Yeah, definitely.
They're quite good.
So that's pretty beastly. That makes him a good spellcaster and adds to his combat threat.
Then he has Moracane, the black armor. So his magic armor, he has a 4 palm save and 4 ward save. So now he's like a 4 cannon problem.
Statistically, yeah, 4 cannons. And that's if no one misfires. So you start looking realistically now.
And hitting him as
Probably
well.
want 5.
Yeah. So 4 ward save, the best ward save you can get.
Well, yeah, give or take pennies, yeah.
Yeah, so it's simple. The
It's
armor,
a great ward save.
The armor is simple. The ward save is the best ward save you can get. The armor is a little lackluster.
The thing is, with a 4-up armor and a 4-up ward, what that gives him protection against is the kind of low-grade stuff where people get lucky. They stick like 25 high elf archers into and nick a wound. Probably doesn't nick a wound with a 4-up, so...
No, especially a toughness 7 as well. So overall, that is pretty good. So we're going to go into the 9 books in Nagash. This is one item. The 9 books are not 9 separate items.
And this is where it gets silly.
Yeah, it does. Another arcane item, so he has 2 arcane items now. Nagash knows 9 spells. That is the first sentence, and that's the full stop after. He says, you know 9 spells.
Oh, spicy.
The first of these spells is always Rise the Grave Call from the Lore of Undeath, which we're going to go on about later on. He generates the other 8 spells from the Lore of Death, Lore of Light, Lore of Nehekara, Lore of Vampires, and the Lore of Undeath in any combination. Declare how many spells he will know from each lore before spells are generated.
So he does have to roll for them.
Yep.
It's worth saying.
Oh no.
But he can generate an entire lore if he wants. He can just say, I'm going to go all Lore of Vampires, and I've got the lot.
That doesn't have to roll if you just know all 7.
That's it. So yeah, it's really horrible. He always knows Rise of Grave Call. You've got 8 that you can flex about in different ways for yourself.
So you got Rise, you just take an entire lore and you go, I'm going to roll for Lore of Light, don't like it, I'm going to take Shems.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is that we'll talk about that later, but it's the Light Council thing that you can do with him as well then.
So
if
9
you just
books.
take one on Light, I probably always would.
The only issue with the 9 books, is that if you do have something like Arcane Unforging and you break the 9 books, how does that work?
Well, he technically no longer has any spells. It's really silly.
Well, he would know spells, he's a wizard, but he'd have to lose 4 of them.
No, because that's how he generates them as well. So technically, if you destroyed it, I guess he'd have to generate 5 spells.
He'd have to roll again to
At that
generate the 5
point,
spells
he'd
again.
generate 5 spells.
Please don't do that, because that is a technical nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to do it because you want to break all the spells, but
Wild.
just so 9 books, really good item. Is what makes him such a potent spellcaster.
It's a cool model as well with all the books flying around.
I did, yeah, all this sort of stuff down there. And then his final item is Zephet Nebtar. I think I pronounced it right. Zephet Nebtar, the Mortis Blade. So close combat attacks made with this sword are resolved at +1 strength
So strength 8.
multiple wounds D3. So actually, to be honest, you don't particularly need HKB. You just beat a man down.
He is hideous in combat.
So he is
6. Weapon skill 7. Strength 8. Multiple wounds. D3 attacks. Which you can apply Killing Blow, Heroic Killing Blow. 2 with your spells. You can give him extra attacks. You can make him reroll hits. You can make him reroll wounds.
It's worth noting he's also a monster, so he has Thunderstomp
He
as
has
well.
Thunderstomp as well with strength 7.
Sorry, guys.
Huge set of items, and we are not even done because we haven't touched on these special rules
The
yet.
special rules are what, and they just further up the crazy.
They up the ante even more. So let's have a stab at some of those then.
So special rules, his generic ones, he has large target, terror, and undead. So he can't get his wounds back from the spells themselves, but he can get them from like Lore of the Curse of Undeath and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yep. So his first special rule. Also, do you want to talk about his wizard levels?
Let's just go for that. He's a level 5 wizard, guys.
Yeah, he's level 5 wizard. He uses spells from Lore of Death, Lore of Light, Lore of Nekara, Lore of Vampires, and Lore of Undeath.
Treat himself.
Yeah, so he's level 5. He's the 3rd level 5 wizard at this point in time in the game. And it's when he was released.
He's the first raw level 5 wizard
yeah.
though, if you like, because I say raw because like Arcan gets his 5th level from one of the books of Nagash,
books of the game.
and
Teclis
gets his from the War Crown of Safari.
Yeah.
So actually, he is a bona fide level 5
He's
wizard.
the first natural level 5.
Bona fide.
No. So his first unique special is Arc Necromancer. So if Nagash suffers a miscast while casting a spell, you may re-roll the results on the miscast table. You must accept the second result.
The Duke could still go down the hole, but the rest of us would get a good result there. 7 is insane on him because he just does nothing to him.
Yeah, I mean, again, that sort of thing. You see, a lot of people go, "Oh, it's fine. I'll bank on the fact that hopefully he'll kill himself while casting a spell." You're
Not so much.
Not so much.
Suddenly
no.
that 10 dice attempt to get the important spell that you want to win the game
You
off,
kind of don't care about the miscast.
you're less concerned. You actually want to miscast.
So, yeah, that's. I mean,
Death Mage Incarnate?
yeah, like, the reroll miscast is just mad. Death Mage Incarnate. So Nagash and all friendly units with the Undead special within 12 inches of him suffer 2 less wounds than they would due to the unstable special rule. This is in addition to any other modifiers that apply.
Excellent. Any other Morghasts? Because that's what you're talking about.
Including the Morghast's Heralds of the Accursed One special.
So let's just take that breather for a minute. We can get a -7 stack on the crumble
BSB.
for an animated construct.
BSB, Animate Construct, 3 Harbingers,
2 Archive.
2 Archive, and Nagash. So it's -10.
Oh, sorry, -9.
Minus BSB, Animated, Morghasts,
Morghasts.
Archive, Nagash.
Yeah, -9.
Yes, -9.
-9, sorry. -9 stack on animated. But I mean, we are talking about taking it to the extreme there. But realistically, you can comfortably, if you include Nagash, expect to score -4, -5 in a really competitive Undead Legion.
Because you probably only be taking the Morghasts.
I would have thought, well, BSB's an easy include.
BSB you probably would take as well.
At -3 off the bat. And if you've got 1 unit of Morghast, it's -4. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
And then his final special rule, which I think this is what everyone loves about him. Supreme Lord of the Undead. So, when Nagash successfully casts a summoning spell from the Lore of Undeath, summoning spells are a new type that we'll go over later on.
Yep,
today as well.
whole new spell as well in this thing.
Summoning spell from the Lore of Undeath, you triple the points worth of models that he summons, including any additional points generated by Raise the Dead counters. In addition, Nagash treats the summoning spells from the Lore of Undeath as having triple their usual range.
Yeah, so when we talk about the Lore of Undeath, we are going to talk about Nagash Arcan, everyone else.
And the Nagash Arcan is where you want to be.
Yeah, basically, it's just insane. So, huge.
We won't touch on it, but what you can do with Nagash and Lore of Undeath is just crazy.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the Lore of Undeath section, I imagine.
But he is incredible.
He is. I've got here, we gave him a 4 for risk. Although he's expensive, he's able to just be a caster if he wants to.
Yeah.
Because of the sheer powerhouse of his casting. When we start talking about summoning spells with him, he really can just sit at the back and cast. I've lost count of the games I used him when he came out, and I didn't put him in anywhere, and comfortably won. And when you do put him on, what are you going to charge him with? He's a machine.
The only things that could do it are some of the other end times characters,
or maybe Bloodthirsters type
the
things.
Graphicorn Bloodthirster possibly.
Yeah, he's probably
or the HKB Bloodthirster.
Well. But he's got to be really careful as well, because Nagash has all the ability to magic himself into like absolute oblivion. I mean, and that's when he gets charged by one of them. Or he thinks he's going to. That's when he's looking for weapon skill initiative 10, and he's looking to unload all of the power dice out of his staff as heroic killing blood attacks.
Do you need it because you got strength 8 mob was D3?
I think it's just belts and braces at that point. Make sure he's dead.
All in. Ah!
Yeah, I would. No chance.
You find that sort of like Bloodthirster list. You go, yeah, I'm just take 7. I'm just take all the entire lore light.
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah, and just go, Birionas, speed of light, fast protection.
Net on the bloodletters, third of the time they just take wounds and sit still.
Have a go at that. He's mad.
He's incredible.
I mean, his model is also, I think, one of the nicest models I've seen. Plastic model.
I think he's possibly the best model they released in the end times. In fact, he is the best model they released in the end times. I'll say it.
I like Arcan. I like the actual Arcan. I don't like his mount. I like Arcan.
Oh, I like them as well. I just think Nagash is better. He's gorgeous.
What else they released? They released
Bloodthirsters,
Bloodthirsters were nice.
Hungers, all that sort of stuff.
The new Vermin Lords.
They're coming close. The new Vermin Lords, they're very
nice.
I can't wait till we get stuck into them. Actually,
that's Scott's book.
Yeah. Okay. Let us move forward.
Well, otherwise, we could just go on.
Otherwise, we'll just wax off about grey models. So, next up is everyone's favourite turncoat vampire, Manfred von Carstein.
Don't worry, he wasn't hated just yet.
Mortarch of Night. Who comes in with a competitive rating of 20 out of 24. So, this is a whole new thing as well. We're now looking at characters on mounts, but instead of them being ridden monsters, they have this combined profile. They're basically just a massive monster.
This is where they start to introduce this sort of
thing.
They
get all the benefits of the wounds and the kind of the attacks and the strength of the monster, and they get all the benefits of the rider, so the high weapon skill, the high initiative, the high leadership. It's a horrid symbiosis, and the ones in this book that we're going to cover, the 3, which is Mortarch, Manfred, Mortarch Arcan, Mortarch Neferata, they are somewhat balanced. And we're going to talk through this. They've got a 20, and I'm going to say they're still somewhat balanced. When you start seeing the ones in the next book and the one after, you are going to see eye-watering things because they're just silly. And I actually think there will be some of those characters that do get the 24. I think there'll be characters in there that get 24.
I reckon.
I've got one in mind at the moment.
Is it Carl Franz?
He probably won't. He won't have the synergy.
Is it Malekith?
Malekith might. He's a lot of points. But I could see when we get to Alariel, Incarnate of Life, I think she might score.
Archaon might get.
Archaon's another one very high. So we're going to see high scores all over this.
Yeah.
These ones are somewhat balanced. And we'll explain why. But I'm going to go through it. So Manfred gets 4 for output, 4 for special rules, 4 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. He is expensive, 650 points.
650. I think that's the points for all the Dread Abyssal Mortarchs, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. That is 20 out of 24. So synergy is the really tricky one with this monster. He could... synergy? I think it's risk, I should have wrote there. Risk is the really tricky one for this monster. He could be a 4 for risk due to his magical output, which is really high. And the fact he doubles the range of Lore of Undeath spells. However, I think I'd be going Lore of Vampires heavy on him, if I'm honest. And thanks to his Sword of Unholy Power, and when we look at his combat stat line in a minute, is eye-watering. I'd be throwing him into combat pretty regularly. So I went for the compromise and I made his risk a 2.
I think that's the compromise we always do for like casting monsters.
Casting choppers, yeah. And he is a real fighter. Let's have a look at his stat line.
So stat line wise, Weapon Skill 7, because he's a Vampire Lord at the end of the day.
Excellent.
Bliss Skill 5, doesn't matter. Strength 5, Toughness 6.
Yep.
Gets the point of toughness. 10 wounds.
10 wounds.
This is where the combined profile. So Manfred
Gets silly.
Manfred and Dread of Assault are described as having a single combined characteristic profile. Initiative 7, 9
attacks, and this is why I don't think you can leave him out of combat. Weapon skill 7, initiative 7, strength 5, 9 attacks, and he's a monster, so he thunderstomps afterwards. You've got to put him in.
And he's leash of 10.
Yeah.
Right, so he's stat line that.
Should we? Yeah, should we?
Where are we going first?
Should we go magic?
Magic items, or just do his magic? So
we'll go through it on the page, so I messed it up last time.
That's right. Magic. So Manfred von Carstein is a level 4 wizard who uses spells from Lore of Death, Lore of Vampires, and Lore of Undeath. He can generate all of his spells from one lore, or have several from the above lores in any combination. Declare how many spells he will know from each lore before spells are generated.
So he's forgotten how to be a lore master when he became a mod type.
He's lost lore master in 2 lores. So he's lost, what's that, 10 spells?
Yeah, but he's gained a frightening amount of combat output in response, and a ludicrous amount of wins.
He's gained the same sort of spell generation as Alariel and Morathai.
Yeah. But I think, again, I would just go vampires on him. Almost every time.
Unless you'll find like something spectacular, you might want to go death.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he's definitely got the chops for death because the Dread Abyssal flies as well.
Special rules wise, so spells wise, level 4.
Yeah, sorry. So should we do special rules?
Yeah. So special rules, he has fly, large target, terror, undead, and vampiric.
Excellent. So vampiric means that he can march regardless of his proximity to general. He probably will be a general, but he can march regardless, which is amazing.
Right, then he has Dark Cunning, which is a new special rule for him, to be honest. So at the start of each friendly magic phase, after rolling to determine the strength of the winds of magic, Manfred von Carstein's controlling player can choose to remove or add up to 3 dice from the power pool. Each dice removed, Manfred's attack characteristic is increased by 1 until the start of the next friendly magic phase. This can take his attacks above 10.
Important, so you could get 12 attacks. Mm-hmm. So this is why I say, you're looking at this guy and thinking, yeah, he could be a 4 for risk, he could set off, he's a good spellcaster, but he's got 12 attacks.
Yeah.
And a Thunderstomp. Could kill 18 models in one turn.
An exception to the rules limits characteristic profiles to a maximum of 10, so he can go above it.
Yep.
For each dice that is added, he loses an attack, though.
So we're now talking about maximum flexibility. Turn 1, he's not in combat, I'm going to shed 3 attacks, I've only got 6. Alright.
And a Thunderstomp.
I mean, you could still be doing this in a mid-game when he's in combat. He's only got 6 attacks and a Thunderstomp. And then he's got... and again, you could just add 1 or 2 as well.
Yeah. You don't have to add 3.
No.
Only Manfred can use the power dice added to his pool in this way.
Who cares? He's great. He's a great spellcaster.
He's probably the only one to be casting at that point.
And this is why I like vampires on him, because if I've got reroll fail to win rolls, which is called Hellish Vigour. Mm-hmm. Hellish Vigour on this model could easily see you. If you could combine that and
Van Hels's
Dance Macabre, you are now looking at potentially 18 dead models. I know that's a spicy set of rolls, but it's doable.
That's a spicy meatball.
It is, but it's doable. And the fact it's legit doable is crazy.
Yep, and then the next rule is Feaster of Souls. At the end of any close combat phase in which this model has caused an unsaved wound, roll d6, and roll a 6, you regain 1 wound lost earlier in the battle.
So this just replaces...
The hunger.
Yeah. And it's still only 1d6, so it's still a bit rubbish. But the lore attribute from Lore of Vampires means he'll stay very close to 10 wounds very often.
Then he has Master of the Black Arts. This is no longer a vampire power.
No, it's now a special rule.
This is now a special rule. So Manfred von Carstein's controlling player may reroll 1 dice when determining the strength of the winds of magic during his own turn.
And then you start thinking, and I can combine that with the adding and subtracting from the power pool as well.
Yeah, you can.
Horrible. Really strong. Consistent. His rules support himself. Really not very good.
And a lot of people don't like that vampiric power, but when you just get it anyway, it's really strong.
And that's it. You're getting it for nothing, so smile sweetly and accept it.
And then his last special is Mortarch of Night. Manfred treats summoning spells in the Lore of Undeath as having double their usual range.
Okay, so this is good because it allows you to drop them further away.
Yeah.
And when we get to Lore of Undeath, you're going to see the number of models you get and the range are both quite low. But crucially, it doesn't for me convince me Lore of Undeath is the way to go on him competitively.
No, because you want the points rather than the range.
You don't get enough models.
No.
We're going to look at that. You just don't get enough. And so, and if you do get lots, it's because the models you're getting are rubbish and they're not actually going to help you win a game. No. But we've seen what this guy can do. It gets better in a minute as well because we haven't looked at his magic weapons yet. We're already seeing a pattern though that this guy he's a prolific spellcaster who can really, really fight.
Yeah. So magic items, and here's Geistvor, the Sword of Unholy Power. I like the fact they gave it a name.
Yeah.
It's no longer just a sword, it's Geistvor these days.
Yeah, they give them names.
Yep, so magic weapon. For each unsaved wound caused by the sword, Manfred von Carstein gains an extra dice at the start of the ensuing magic phase. This will be your power dice in his own magic phase and dispel dice in the enemy magic phase. Manfred cannot gain more than 5 extra dice in this manner in any one.
5?
One phase, yeah.
5 extra dice?
Can you take it over from 12? I'd imagine no.
No, but
No.
5. 5. And then you start going, I got 5 free power dice, so I'm up to 12. I'll shed 3, so I've got 12 attacks. It's self-fulfilling. It's just unpleasant.
What I like the fact is, you do the power dice, you think you roll rubbish on the dice, I'll get like a 1 or a 2, yeah? You got a double 1 magic phase. I'll reroll one of those and mouse the black dice. Oh, that's a 6. I'm up to 7, and I've got 5 more power dice. I'll just turn a double 1 into a double 6 magic phase.
Potentially, yeah.
That's mad.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and this is why I keep saying he's got to be a 2. He's got to be a 2 for risk. You've got to put him in.
He wants the combat just so he can kill just rubbish stuff like cheap chaff.
He's a beast.
You want him goblins, you want him like slaves, you want him like skeletons themselves.
And you know he'll kill big stuff as well.
He'll kill the bigger stuff. He'll struggle a bit with monsters, but
yeah, armor I'd worry about him on.
Yeah, but I think against maybe stuff like great swords, stuff like that.
I mean, great swords are still 5s to wound him.
Yeah.
Which is not easy for them, and he is going to trash a lot of them.
You want to avoid a lot of the elite
great weapon troops and very well armoured troops.
The elite of everything else. And then his final item is the armor of Tempelhof. The armor of Tempelhof confers a 5-up arm save, giving him a combined total of 4-up because he's mounted. So you've got a better arm save at that point.
Yep.
Furthermore, the wearer also gains 2 wounds. These are already included in your profile buff.
To get him up to 10.
Yeah.
So, why did I say at the beginning that these have a semblance of balance? Well, the answer is he doesn't have a wall save.
Yeah, none of these Mortarks have ward saves.
No. Toughness 6, 4-up armor save. That's his defence. Now, the 10 wounds, that helps.
I mean, he's better than what he was. He's better than he is Vampire one.
Yeah,
every time he's only toughness 5 arm save.
Yes, and 5 wounds. So he's considerably improved, but obviously he's on that big base and he's not getting lookout sir options.
I think the base is only a chariot base though, isn't it?
No, it's
is it?
It's a Cauldron of Blood base. It's 75 by 100, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got him. He's not built. I've got Neferata. She is built and painted. At some point we'll have to use her. I've got Nagash, who's almost finished as well. I've got Arkan. He's half done.
I'm not playing the Nagash one.
So
I'm not playing Nagash.
Yeah, he's really good. Basically, but you are going to have to play more than 2-5 if you're not playing 50% Lords and Heroes because
650.
He's 25 points too many. So 3,000 points he goes in, or 50% Lords and Heroes if you want to play. Or again, I know guys that play casually and they're like, if you're using him, 25 points over the thing.
It's not breaking the bank.
Yeah, so
he's pretty good.
Yeah, I like him. So we'll move on. We're going to look at the Lich King next. That's Arkan the Black, Mortark of Sacrament, who comes in with a competitive rating. Get ready, guys. Hold on. 22 out of 24. So he is beating out Manfred at the moment. We get there with 4 for output, 4 for special rules, 4 for synergy. He gets the big 4 for risk.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain that.
Yeah.
4 for survivability and 2 for cost. So I have gone big on I've got his synergy score here because he's got.
You mean risk score?
Yeah. No, synergy score,
Okay.
it says. He's got great magic weapon and a good combat stat line, but the raw magical output, it is risk,
Yeah.
but the raw magical output of Arkan is immense, and if you are taking him as a spellcaster. So I don't know why I can't work out synergy or risk for myself, but I'll explain that again to be absolutely clear. So he has got a 4 for risk. Even though you're going to see he's got a good magic weapon and a good combat stat line, but when we look at his magical output and then we actually start weighing up the potential drawbacks of his combat stat line, you're going to say, look, the Loremaster gets it. This guy we've taken as a real powerhouse spellcaster, first and foremost, and that is where we are. He's only weapon skill 4, and that's where we're going to start with the challenges.
That's the big kick.
I don't want him in combat myself, unless it's in a pinch, late game. Throw him in a bit like I might use a Terrorgeist if you watch the Vampire Deep Dive. So, let's have a little look at what he does.
So stat line first?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, Moon 6, he flies, he's an Abyssal Terror.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Dread Abyssal, yeah.
Dread Abyssal, sorry. Abyssal Terror is a vampire man, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. Weapon skill 4, Bliss skill 3, Strength 5, Toughness 6, 8 wounds, 2 cannon problem. Initiative 3, 7 attack still, leadership 9.
So if we think about the one we've just seen, Manfred, who we said was a real combat powerhouse.
You've got 3 less points of weapon skill.
Yeah, we've
2
got
less wounds.
We've got 4 less points of initiative and 2 less attack space. And we're 1 point less leadership as well, which is just frustrating.
Yeah. Why can't you just make at least 10?
He is a spellcaster.
Yeah, I mean, the weapon skill 4, just that.
Huge.
You don't want him in combat. Weapon skill 4 is rubbish.
Doesn't have as many attacks. The strength 5 is a really good strength when you've got bucket loads of attacks. 7 is still very good, don't get me wrong, and the Thunderstomp's still good. But weapon skill 4, and again, when we look at his save, it's really poor. So he's relying just on toughness 6. And he has got 8 wounds, good amount, but save.
He does have Thunderstomp, so you do get the D6 automatic hits, but they are still only strength 5.
He's just got to be careful about getting killed. At weapon skill 4, he gets hit by a lot of stuff.
Yeah. He's armour safe. He doesn't actually have any armour, even though he's very heavily armoured in his model.
Does he not have any armour?
No. So, Arcana Black and his Dread Abyssal have a combined armour save of 6+.
And this is what I mean. There's no saving throw. It's just that toughness.
He has just a 6 up armor save.
And this is why, again, I'll say he's a spellcaster. He's a phenomenal model. I'm just looking at the picture in the book here.
I mean, that Arcane model is lovely.
You probably can't really see it. That staff is amazing. I'm going to have to finish painting the one we've got for the studio.
So, Magic. His Arcana Black is a level 4 wizard. He went down, unfortunately. He lost his book. He has to give it back to...
Gives it back to the big man.
He has to give it back to the librarian.
Yeah.
Who uses spells from the Lore of Death and the Lore of Undeath. He can generate all of his spells from one law, or either of the above laws in any combination. Declare how many spells he will know from each law before spells are generated.
Generally, guys, he is going to know 4 from the Lore of Undeath.
Yeah, if I'm honest, we're going to go through special rules now. So again, fly, large target, terror, undead.
So excellent, still excellent, because you can still kind of do those terror fly shenanigans in a pinch. Very
he's
good.
not vampiric, but he's probably going to be a general at that point in time. If you're taken, he's probably going to be a general.
Yeah, he's leadership 9, so it's definitely not impossible.
I'm also looking at points value.
Yeah, of course, he's probably going to be your only lord, yeah. Although you could have a Tomb Prince in the hero slot, their leadership 9. So with him, and I might be tempted, you could just deck out a Tomb Prince with Armour of Silver Steel, Dragonbane Gem. Very good. 3 wounds, toughness 5, 2 up armour save, 2 up ward save against flaming. Stick him in a unit at the back, and make him your general. Let this guy take the risks.
So then he has Feast.
So I've got all the answers for you. Look at that.
It's almost
all
like
the cheese.
It's almost like you've played Undead for a while.
Yeah, for more than a decade. Let's do it.
So he has Feast for a Soul, so it's the same as Manfred, so he regains a wound on a 6+.
At the end of any turn, he causes a wound.
Yep, unsaved wound. So same there.
Only in combat though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so again, helpful because he's going to take wounds in combat, believe me.
Right, then he has first of the Mortarchs. Arcane the Black suffers 1 less wound than he normally would due to the Unstable special rule. This is in addition to any other modifiers that apply. In addition, Arcane can make march moves as normal even though he has the Undead special rule.
Yeah.
So there you go, it doesn't actually need to be general.
He doesn't. He doesn't need to be near your general. Huge help. And he's basically an animated construct because he's Tomb King, fundamentally. He comes from the Tomb King.
if you have the points, but you can do Arcane, get a -10.
-9. -9. Because he wouldn't get he only gets the -1 like an animated construct, so it'd be the same as what they would score.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, look, you can reduce his crumble, and you're going to need to think seriously about reducing crumble if you are going to start putting him in combat, because with weapon skill 4 and no save, as much as he's toughness 6, he will take wounds. You've got to be careful.
So his last special rule is Mortarch of Sacrament. When Arcana Black successfully casts a summoning spell from the Lore of Undeath, double the points value of the models he can summon, including additional points generated by the Raise the Dead counters.
Okay, this is huge. This is why you took him.
Yes.
This is why you selected Arcane.
It's the Nagash Light.
You took him because you wanted to double the points that you raised. And this is really how him and Nagash win you the game. He wins you the game by generating a load of free models. And just starting the game with 3,000 points and finishing the game with 3,000 points because you generated another 1,000 points during the game for free. And your opponent, no army can withstand, if you're really tactical with what you generate, just adding 1,000 points to your list mid-game. And he will do that easily, honestly, guys. We'll talk about that.
Not as easily as Nagash will.
No, but he will do it easily still.
So that is Mortarch Sacrament. We're going to go into his magic items. So he has Zephet Kar, the Tomb Blade. For every unsaved wound caused by this blade to an enemy in close combat, Arcane the Black immediately regains 1 lost wound earlier in the battle. Arcane cannot regain more than 4 lost wounds with his effect card, the Tomb Blade, in any one phase.
It's desperately important, that magic weapon, because it's the only thing that means he can still fight in a pinch. I'd still take him as a main caster, because that weapon skill 4 means he doesn't hit as often as he should. He gets hit a lot more regularly, but at least he can get wounds back.
If you are in a pinch, you lost some wounds, you can just chuck him into like a Chaffee and get your wounds back.
That's probably where I'd see him, into those.
Do you just kill him with Zephyr Car? By this blade, you can't. You don't get it from your Thunderstomp.
No, you don't. But you can get the Feaster of Souls from the Thunderstomp.
Yeah, but he does have 7 attacks, so you are. If you're against like Chaff, the weapon skill 3 realistically.
Hopefully, and weapon skill 4. But it's the thing, weapon skill 4 Chaff. So if they're Elf Chaff.
Yeah, you're in a bit of trouble at that point.
Yeah, if their Warriors of Chaos, all of a sudden he's a lot. It's that weapon skill hurts him a lot, guys. That's a big pain.
And his final item is Kenish Ann, the Staff of Spirits.
The coolest part of his model.
The staff is very. I think the entire model of the Arcan is lovely.
I need to paint. I've got a version of him, guys, that I've converted on foot to use in a normal Tomb King army. It goes on 20mm base, and it's off of that plastic model, and it does look good, doesn't it? So at some point I'll paint that as well. Honestly, we'll add it to the list of many things the Lore Master says he'll paint but doesn't do.
Anyway, the Staff of Spirits. The staff can be used to store up to 2 power dice. Remove the dice from your power pool during the next magic phase. Arcane can expend the stored dice in any of your future magic phases. In addition to the 6 dice he's normally able to use when casting a spell, allowing you to roll up to 8 dice in a single casting. Note that stored dice may not be used in the same magic phase in which they are stored. So he pretty much is just Nagash Light.
Yeah, Nagash Light is what he is. And ultimately, that's awesome. 8 dice to cast a spell. He doesn't have the miscast protection though.
Does not, no.
But it's that inner pinch. And when we start looking at the spells that raise you big monsters, and he starts looking at expanding, he starts looking at expending or using up his counters when we get into Lore of Undeath. We'll try and nod back on him in a big way. You will see that that's probably when you're going to use those expended dice. But there is a real tactic in that as well, in terms of just, your opponent forgetting you put them in there, and then you're dropping them out to cast a spell that matters.
The big 8 for a spell.
And
I think
them.
You are right though. If you are taking it, you are taking Lore of Undeath, because if you don't take Lore of Undeath, you're not using one of his rules, and it's upsetting.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing as a spellcaster. I like him a lot. Yeah. Half painted. I've got on here. Need to finish the half painted ones we have in the cupboard.
Shall we move on to your favourite character in the game?
She's certainly my favourite character from the end times. She is in no way the best of them. In fact, I'd argue she's probably the worst of them. her competitive rating would also agree that she is equally the worst of them. So we are going to go on to my favourite lore-wise. I've got written there, Neferata, Mortarch of Blood, who comes in with a competitive rating of 20 out of 24.
So she's the lowest, but
she's the same as Manfred.
I was about to say, that's a low score. It's not, it's 20.
20's a whopping score, so she's
still
a beast.
Yeah.
But I think as much as she's getting the same as Manfred, I think I would probably, if I was being really competitive, I'd be tempted to choose him over her. Let's take a look. She gets a 4 for her output, a 4 for her special rules, a 4 for her synergy, a 2 for her risk, because she is going to fight. She could cast, but she is going to fight.
She's not going to cast.
4 for survivability and 2 for her cost.
Yeah.
It's difficult to really make her cost do more than what it is. So let's start. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to read what I've got here. Another great score. I feel she's the worst of the 3. She's the one who you'll throw into combat most often. And so Lore of Shadow is particularly good on her.
Yeah.
Or Lore of Death. I'll talk about that in a minute. Her staff is really nice because it triggers on hexes as well. We'll cover that in a minute. Do you know, we can...
Should we go through
I think we might have to interlink. Yeah, sorry. I thought my notes might set us up, but it's not going to.
So, stat-wise for Neferata, she's movement 6 again, but she flies because she's on a Dread Abyssal. Weapon skill 8.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bliss skill 6. Whatever reason you want Bliss skill 6. Strength 5, toughness 6.
Because she knows how to throw a good quality insult.
A good quality quip.
A good put down.
Where was I? Toughness 6, 8 wounds, initiative 9.
Yeah! Yeah!
8 attacks, and back to leash of 10.
Yeah, so she's a really good fighter.
She's the best fighter out of the lot of them.
And her fighting prowess gets a lot better as we go through.
Magic-wise, she is a vampire. She still has magic. She's a level 3 wizard, though.
This is the painful part. Why is she not a level 4? Games Workshop, why did you not make her level 4?
It's Vlad all over again.
Why is she not level 4?
Yeah.
Just first First Lamian vampire. First vampire.
The first ever vampire.
Not a level 4.
She uses the spells Lore of Death, Lore of Shadow, Lore of Vampires, and Lore of Undeath. And the same for the other two. She can mix and match her spells in any combination.
So, you've seen she's a fighter. Lore of Shadow is ace because she's a fighter. However, I generally go Lore of Death on her, and we'll cover that as we move through the rest of her rules. But yeah, Lore of Shadow is well worth thinking about because she is a wicked fighter. She also has the monster troop type.
She's still a monster, yeah.
Which would let her use Lore of Shadow to switch places with other monsters.
Isn't it other characters more stuff type? Or just
models of the same unit type.
Oh, the model same unit type, okay. Oh,
no, you think you've charged Vernon the Vargolf. You have made a terrible mistake.
Right, special rules wise, she has fly, last target, terror, undead, vampiric, the naturally, and always strikes first.
Or initiative 9, weapon skill 8, 8 attacks, always strikes first. Real fighter, this one.
Mad
It's
stuff.
just that level 3 wizard. If she was level 4, I would say she's better than Manfred.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that point in time
But
as well.
level 3 really hurts her
Yeah.
because you're going to be your main caster.
Right, and then Feaster of Soul, same one. If you cause an unsafe wound in combat, at the end of the phase, roll dice on a 6+, you get a wound back.
I do really like her model as well.
I like your Vampire Lord and Foot you made from her.
Yeah,
I
I'm very pleased with that as well.
I do.
You have seen that on such battle reports as Vampire Counts versus High Elves.
And then her Mortark of Blood special rule. The first time each game Neferata slays an opponent in a challenge, place a vampire within 12 inches. This model does not have any upgrades, but otherwise follows the rules for summoned models.
It's a 300-point vampire at the end of the day.
To get a vampire.
Yeah, I mean, it's rubbish. It's got heavy armour and a sword.
It's still a vampire, though.
But yeah, and technically it's a level 1 wizard, so you would have to generate a spell for it.
Yeah, but that's the first time each game, so you only get it once per game. You can't just go around killing characters and get an army of vampires.
Is it only characters, or can she do? I think she can do it with unit
Slays
champions.
an opponent in a challenge.
Yeah, she can do it with unit champion as
But
well.
at that point in time, you don't want to challenge her.
No.
Because you just be giving away a vampire.
Thank you, Skeleton Unit Champion. You are now a vampire.
I give you flesh, blood, and some reflexes. You're a vampire.
Do you know, when I bought the model, I had this crazy idea. I was going to get like a lizard man, like Saurus, and I was going to get like a high elf and a dark elf, and I was going to do a vampire version of each of the champions.
Cool. Really
and then
cool.
whenever I did that in the game, so I'm playing lizard man, out comes the lizard man vampire. I thought that'd be really fun, but it was just too big a project.
It'd be funny when you absolutely decks a Skaven slave. Sorry, not a
The
Skaven.
Skaven vampire is going to be my favourite.
The clan rat champion, and just also.
He is a Skaven vampire. He's all teeth.
And then her final special rule is Twilight Allure. Enemies suffer a -1 penalty to hit when attacking her, except for High Queen Khalida from Warhammer Tomb Kings.
Yeah, so this is really silly. So this did not get an FAQ.
So if you take Warhammer Khalida from Nagash, Undead Legions.
Yeah,
she does get the -1.
That's a bit silly. Yeah, I think ultimately she still comes out of Warhammer Armies Tomb Kings, though, doesn't she? She just joins the list.
Ah, okay.
But I think the thing that's really silly about this is enemies suffer a -1 to hit penalty when attacking her. Okay, so that's shooting and combat then.
Oh,
should have been FAQ'd.
Did we
Really,
FAQ?
to be. No,
have we FAQ'd it?
there is because we don't.
Oh,
we
you
don't
can't do
contra
it. You
events.
can't take
But the hilarious thing is the Nagash FAQ is one of the narrative scenarios in here. It doesn't touch any of these weird and wonderful interactions.
So she's minus. I mean, to be honest, if it's Twilight's Law, the guy shooting a bullet at her probably is like, I don't want to hurt her.
Yeah, she's.
Before she comes over, rips your face off.
Yeah, so weapon skill 8 -1 to hit or -1 to hit when being shot at. She's pretty spicy.
That's
in that
pretty.
department.
That's good protection.
Yeah, it is
That is
because
good
she's
protection.
got no save again.
Again,
We're back
she's
to no save.
only got 6 of arm save because
Yeah.
unless she's wearing like a full armored corset
Yeah, and armored legs
and the massive hat.
and a big hat.
That hat makes Chaos Dwarfs cry.
The hat is amazing.
It's so heavy.
Oh, I don't know if I should retract my. See, she I really like. The Dread Abyssal I like less. I tell you what, painting them is crazy.
The hat would be so heavy.
She's a vampire, mate.
Her neck is not that strong.
The hat's very lightweight.
Okay, so it's made of mithril, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
We're crossing franchises.
She does come from the Silver Pinnacle,
yeah.
so she would have had it made from Gromril probably.
Possibly.
And Gromril is hard as dragon scales and lights, isn't it?
That's mithril.
Oh no, Lithamar's on. I'm thinking of. Yeah, Lithamar's got the same. Ithilmar. I always say it wrong. Ithilmar. Yeah, it's the same as Mithril. Yeah.
Tangent over.
Excellent.
Right, on to magic items. She has Akhmet Kar, the Dagger of Jet. So it's a magic weapon. If Neferata inflicts at least 1 unsaved wound against an opponent in a challenge, that model's strength, toughness, and attack characteristics are immediately reduced by 1 point to a minimum of 1 for the remainder of the game. A model can only be affected by Akhmet Kar Dagger of Jet once per game.
It's okay.
So she's probably going to absolutely kill that character.
You would hope so, but she's only strength 5, so it does help.
Yeah.
There are things that will do substantial wounds to her with no save and only toughness 6. I say only toughness 6 like it's bad. It's really good, guys. But there are a lot of high strength things out there.
Yeah, and then her staff, which is Aken Seth, the Staff of Pain. Arcane item, when Nephra successfully casts a magic missile, direct damage, or hex spell, each target unit suffers an additional D3 strength 5 hits after the spell's been resolved, and they are magical.
Yeah, so this is the point I've got here. Her staff is really good particularly because it triggers on hexes.
Yeah.
So this triggers with Curse of Years, but really the crucial one it triggers with for me is good on Shadow, as we said. She's good in that. There's lots of hexes in Lore of Shadow, so you're taking damage too. I really like this with Soulblight though, because that massively helps, and I like it a lot with Withering as well. Helps with the fact that she's only strength 5 to do more wounds and to do more damage, and they take hits as well.
If you bubble Soulblight, all those additional units are all taking D3 hits at that point in time as well.
Yeah.
If you bubble it up, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I like it with Soulblight, because I can make it hit lots of stuff. Where that's particularly unpleasant is when you start hitting multiple chaff units and stuff as well, and just making things panic, which is really unpleasant.
I think overall she's decent, but there's just something missing from her, I think.
It's that level 4 for me.
I think it's the strength.
Yeah, or the strength.
I think the first vampire I think should be strength 6.
I don't mind the 5 if she's a good spellcaster, but the fact that I'm kind of sacrificing spellcasting, and I mean, look, we're being really greedy. She's still basically a Demon Prince plus.
Yeah.
In her stats and what she does. All I've got here is the -1 2 weapon skill is really good, but as with the others, combat can be dangerous with the wrong types of units, even with that combination. She's very good, but she's still beatable in combat, and only being a level 3 is really frustrating. That said, she's still really great in a mat army. I've used her many times and had a lot of success with her.
Multiple attack and threat.
Yeah, there's a 20 tactics on it, so you can enjoy that.
But no, she's got. It's funny when you turn something into a vampire. It's always funny when that happens.
Yeah, it's great.
The
Ore Strikes first is particularly.
I think the Ore Strikes first initiative 9, Weapon Skill 8 attacks is particularly good, and alongside Thunderstomp.
Beast. So, like our next Mortark, we are cleaving through characters as we move on.
Does he though?
He should do.
Does he?
In the fluff he does. As we move on to Krell, Mortark of Despair, who comes in. We're coming right back down to earth, everyone, with a rating of 14 out of 24.
Did he get better from vampires?
Maybe. Probably. He's a combat characters kind of score. Pure combat characters normally score around 14, 16 if they're particularly good. So as a White King character, I've compared him to a Tomb King for his output score.
Because he has been upgraded.
Yeah, he's basically a Tomb King at this point. I could have compared him to a Hero White King, but I'm not sure it's a particularly fair comparison.
No.
I think he's much more a Tomb King at this point. That's where he gets a 2 for that which we'll cover now, which is for the strength 6 of his attack against the Tomb King's strength 5. So we get to our 14 with 2 for output, which I just explained, 4 for special rules, 1 for synergy, 1 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. He is a moderate combat character, guys, whose special rules don't offer you very much.
No.
He causes terror. His axe is decent. So let's have a little look at breaking him down.
So stat wise, he's movement 4. Yeah, let's say he's walking. We're back down to walking speed.
Yeah.
Weapon skill 5, which is a big hit.
He's a lord.
Yeah.
He's a lord, and he's a 250 point lord
You'd
as well.
You'd have thought with the upgrade he would have just gained that point of weapon skill.
Yeah, 250 point lord. His weapon skill 5 is poor.
Yeah. Strength 4 is poor as well, but he does have the axe to offset.
The axe helps.
Toughness 5, 4 wounds. So he's pretty survivable.
He's a Tomb King.
Yeah. Initiative 5 doesn't particularly matter.
Is his axe
Yes, it is.
ASL?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good though because he's not going to get sort of hit on initiative based things.
No, he's not. 4 attacks.
Again, he's just a combat character.
Yeah. Leadership 10.
And this is why I compared him to a Tomb King. A Tomb King stat line is weapon skill 6, strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds, initiative 3, 4 attacks. Initiative 10. He's basically a Tomb King.
He is a Tomb King. Special rules wise, as James says, he has Killing Blow, Terror, and Undead. So, yeah.
Okay.
Then he has 2 new special rules from his previous one. He loses out on, I think he had like something to do with Kemler.
Yeah, he did, which he can't really do now because Kemler's
Kemler dead. Kemler died. So he has Champion Nagash. So if Krell is fighting a challenge whilst in the same combat as Nagash, he has Heroic Killing Blow. Unlikely it's going to happen.
I've got 1,250 points that I've decided to spend on Lords to make that happen.
So you're playing 50%. Yeah, you are playing you're playing 2,500 point game.
Yeah,
So.
but I mean, I've got no army. I mean, Nagash will raise me.
I say Nagash will make you an army. Make you an army worthy of Nagash.
Yeah, I just wouldn't bother.
No, and then Mortarch with Despair. Whenever an enemy fails a fear, terror, or break test within 12 inches of Krell, he automatically regains a single lost wound early in the battle.
Yeah, it's decent. It's good because it synergises with his terror. It's quite good.
Yeah. So, and then his magic items these are pretty much the exact same from his Vampire Count's Army Books versions. So, Armoured Barrows is a 4-up arm save. If a character magic weapon wounds Krell in close combat and Krell passes his arm save, that magic weapon's abilities are nullified. It is treated as a normal, non-magical weapon of the same type for the remainder of the game. If no type is listed, instead treat it as a hand weapon.
Yeah, that's good.
Often the magic weapons are probably going to ignore his armour.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you like the Obsidian Blade ignoring the armour save. Cool, or you're just not going to...
What's his armour? 4+, isn't
4+.
it? Yeah, I mean, so if I'm strength 6, I just ignore it.
Yeah.
So Ogre Blade is probably going to be sufficient most of the time to take it.
A strength 4 Ogre Blade is enough to do it.
Yeah.
Rubbish. And then the Black Axe of Krell. The Black
Axe of Krell.
The Black Axe of Krell. So, magic weapon requires 2 hands. It gives him +2 strength in close combat and always strikes last and multiple wounds D3.
So again, wasting his initiative 5.
Yeah.
What a shame. But multiple wounds D3, strength 6 is good.
Yeah. Furthermore, if any model takes an unsaved wound from the Black Axe, but not removed from play, it must roll a D6 at the start of each of its subsequent turns. If the result is higher than the number of wounds it has remaining, that model suffers an additional wound, no arm saves allowed.
Yeah, so because of the D3 wounds, this means he'll probably get the result.
You probably kill it, to be honest, before it actually happens.
But real talk, it's not great. I've got here, if he was a hero, he'd be more of a consideration for me. But
he's a lord.
He's up against Vampire Lords, the special characters we just looked at, the next special character we're about to look at, who I think he's actually a really, really great special character from this supplement. And ultimately, like, where do I get the value from his points?
You don't.
I don't see it. Sorry.
Lovely model.
I think 14's too good for him to an extent, if I'm honest with you.
He's a nice model. I think we said that last time. I do like his model.
His model's beautiful.
Yeah. But overall, it's just a bit naff.
Yep. So let us do our last Undead Legion special character. We finally got there because we have really indulged ourselves on the Mortarchs.
The big ones and the
big ones. So we have got the iconic Von Carstein, Vlad Von Carstein, the Mortarch of Shadow.
Vlad the Dad.
Vlad the Dad, Mortarch of Shadow, who comes in with a competitive rating of 19 out of 24. This now is a real consideration choice, guys.
Yeah,
he's a real consideration. He totally steps up a plate in an Undead Legion version. He really does. He gets a 2 for output, 4 for special rules, 4 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and a 3 for cost. He's a lot. He's 500 points, but I'm gonna.
He's gone up, hasn't he?
Maybe a smidge.
I think he might have gone 5 points. I think he's like 495. 495 sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He's gone up maybe a smidge, but I'm going to explain why that cost works later. He is, I feel, very overlooked. And he has a lot more potential than people give him credit for.
People see like Nagash, the big Mortarch, and they're the ones for the Undead Legion. But Vlad the Dad he's solid.
Yeah, and I think the thing here is that in our events, where 50% Lords and Heroes isn't in place, well, he's really the really viable choice. So shall we unpack him?
Yep. Stat wise, movement 6, capital 7, ballistical 5, strength 5, toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 7, 5 attacks, legion 10, Vampire Lord.
Yeah, exactly the same stat line as far as I remember as he is in the main book.
Yeah. He has heavy armour, so he has 5 arm save. Yep. He's still a level 3 wizard.
Just the only thing that really upsets
He's still
me.
level 3, but he can use spells from Lore of Death, Lore of Shadow, Lore of Vampires, and Lore of Undeath. And he has the Mortarch, so he can mix and match the spells.
Yeah, he does. So yeah, really good. And again, where generally Undeath is gone, I'm not saying you should consider your general not being on Lore of Vampires or your main caster not being on Lore of Vampires.
But see Lore of Shadow.
You could go Lore of Shadow on this guy, and it's a really strong choice.
So special rules wise, Terror, Undead, Vampiric.
Terror again, lots of terror. We love a bit of terror on this channel.
He has the Hunger, which is the same rule as it always was, but his one is on a 4+. So the end of the close combat phase in which Vlad has caused an unsaved wound, roll a d6 and a roll 4+, he regains 1 wound lost earlier in the battle. Normally this would occur on a d6 roll of a 6, but this is improved by Blood Drinker below. I don't know why they put that
yeah,
there
it's
instead
very
of...
weird.
Why have they done that?
I don't know.
Odd, okay. And his final special rule is Mortarch Shadow, and this is the one that's a kicker.
Yeah, this is good.
So all enemy units within 12 inches of Vlad suffer a -1 penalty to leadership. In addition, all shooting and close combat attacks directed against Vlad or his unit suffer a -1 penalty to their to hit rolls.
Or his unit. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. He goes in that unit. -1 to hit. Everyone's taking shooting and combat. Everyone's -1 leadership within 12. Hideous.
You stick him in like unit big, great.
Again, this is really horrible because this is where we get the combinations. This is where his 3 for cost comes from, right? Because there's 2 really powerful things here. Firstly, this is now a new special rule. Mm-hmm. So this will now stack with Aura of Dark Majesty if I've got the vampire power on a hero.
If you got on a hero, because he doesn't actually have any of his powers anymore.
No, but I can stack that. So now it's -2 leadership.
Yeah.
Ace. Really strong, right? Then I've got potentially Lore of Death. I can make -5 leadership happen.
Yep.
In a really basic, quick fashion with 1 spell. Horrible. The -1 to hit penalty. Well, there are these beautiful things called Tomb Princes available in the hero slot in an Undead Legion list, which makes the unit weapon skill 5 with their My Will Be Done. So now we're weapon skill 5 with -1 to hit. Congratulations, your Graveguard are Warriors of Chaos with the Mark of Nurgle.
But your ones come back.
But they come back to life. And they've got Killing Blow and +1 to hit because they've got Banner of the Barrows.
You probably are going to ban the Barrows.
Oh, yeah.
And you also just cheaper.
Yeah, loads cheaper. 12 points a model.
Whereas my models are 20.
Yeah. It's just really, really powerful. And you can give them Hatred. And you've got access to Lore of Vampires all over them as well.
Yeah, you can still give them Hatred, still with the access to Necrotect.
Necrotect, yeah. But you just take Vampires and you start looking at the rerolls there.
Yeah.
Really, really strong. Cannot...
that probably is the one rule that makes him so much better than his generic version.
Yeah, and don't forget the Terror that he's got also synergises with this Mortarch Shadow with a -1 to leadership penalties.
Yeah.
So you've got more horribleness there. Magic item wise, he still stays potent as well.
Yeah. Magic items, he's got Blood Drinker, so close combat attacks made Blood Drinker result a +1 strength.
So strength 6.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got a strength 6 Mortarch now as well, which we've been missing.
In addition, as the hunger specified before, I don't get this. Whilst Vlad wields Blood Drinker, he restores lost wounds on a roll of 4+ for purposes of the hunger special rule.
Yeah.
Lovely. And he still has the Von Karstein ring, even though he died, he still gets his big old Pimp Daddy ring.
He gets it back.
Even though it was stolen, so he managed
by Manfred.
Oh, it's by Manfred.
Well,
it's stolen by the thief who's under the directions from Manfred.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. The Talisman, the Von Karstein ring gives Vlad a 4+ ward save. Yes.
Is such children.
The only Mortarch that has a ward save.
He is, yeah.
Mad. Furthermore, the first time Vlad is removed from play, roll D6 in the face, and a roll of 2+, he's immediately returned to life. With a single wound, Vlad must then be placed in the front rank of a friendly unit anywhere within 12 inches on the point where he fell, even one in close combat. If there's no such unit for Vlad to join, he's removed as a casualty.
That's the only thing I think slightly different. I think he can be placed...
I don't think he can be placed by himself.
Oh, can he not? He certainly could in older versions of the ring.
But you've got to be careful at that point in time. You want to keep saying close by if he does die.
Yeah, but again, the thing that there is not the same unit type, so it could be like some dogs or some cavalry. It could be anything nearby that you can drop into.
Yeah, it could just be any unit. Yeah. So the only units you can't join would be ethereal.
Ethereal. Yeah. So, yeah.
Overall, he is really good.
If he was a level 4 wizard, he'd be ridiculously.
Oh, he would be he'd be a number 1 pick. You would just take in Undead Legions.
Yes, but yeah, great. This is great stuff. We really like him. He's good.
Underused, underutilised, and...
overlooked. 19 out of 24. Don't let that pass you by. I want to point out, not a single one of these end times units has fell below the 18 threshold. And line 19... Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry.
We don't talk about Krell.
None of the ones you're going to take.
No, yeah, they don't go under 18. And
that is it, guys. We've passed our terror check because basically every single thing we just discussed causes terror.
They all do.
Which is amazing. And some absolutely...
More terror. They all cause terror.
Oh, don't worry, they cause terror. I know that.
They all cause terror.
We've seen some absolutely amazing scores for units and characters in the Undead Legion section of the video. So with that, it is time for our customary break. You've got there. Grab yourself a Coke.
Other beverages are available.
Thank you. And...
Really put me on the spot there.
We lose the Duke, and that's not as smooth. Take 5. You've earned it, guys. When you come back, we are going to take a look at the remaining special characters in this supplement. So if you, like me, play Warhammer Armies Empire, or like him, you play Warhammer Armies Warriors of Chaos, you definitely don't want to miss the next section of our video. We'll see you very shortly. Welcome back to the end times. Don't worry, we can all pretend it didn't happen again real soon.
You can't. It happened. You have to accept it. Pull the plaster off.
Oh,
Lizzie Man now Seraphon.
No, how dare you? Get out. Not in here.
Not in my house.
Not in this studio. In this section, we are going to be looking at some more special characters, and these are 4.
More special characters.
More special characters. These are 4 Warhammer Armies Empire, because we have Herald of Sigmar Valton, and they are 4 Warhammer Armies Warriors of Chaos, because we have Crom the Conqueror, Harbinger of the End Times.
Yeah.
So let's start with Valton.
Herald Sigmar?
Yes.
Ooh.
Who is a bit of a pain.
Yeah, easily.
He has 2 options.
He has one option, but he has 2 like it
2
basically
kind
changes
of ways
entire
to rock and roll him basically. But I have took the executive decision of assuming that you are going to swap his 2-hand weapons and ripped shirt for full plate armor, a Barded Warhorse, and Gal Maraz.
Why wouldn't you?
Now, if you do choose to take this version of him, which comes in at 475 points,
Yeah.
You are going to be receiving a whopping 16 out of 24.
That's good for a combat character.
Very good for a combat character. Now, we get there with 3 for output, 3 for special rules, 3 for synergy. That is unheard of in combat characters.
Yeah, it is.
1 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost, because he really is his points. He is a lot.
475 is a lot of points for a combat character.
But you do get quite the combat character for that. Should we have a look at the what you're getting?
Yep, so stat-wise, he's movement 4, weapon skill 7.
Yeah, you're going to put him on a horse, so he's movement 7. So weapon skill 7. Empire, nothing. Kurt Hellborg, I think, is weapon skill 7. The Emperor's 6.
Emperor 6. Okay.
I think Hellborg's 1 more.
Grandmasters, are they 5 or 6?
No, 6.
6. Because the generals are 5, aren't they?
Yeah.
Weapon skill 7, but skill 6.
Okay.
Strength 4, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 6, 4 attacks, leadership 9.
So he is
That's a decent
Templar Grand Master, basically, who has swapped 1 point, who has kept his leadership and just gained a point of weapon skill.
That's a solid stat
It's
line.
a very good stat line.
That's a very good stat line itself.
Even better when you consider that. So you could have, for 330 points, he comes in a shirt with 2 hand weapons. I don't know why you're doing that.
Yeah, his equipment is 2 hand weapons.
Yeah. Whereas when you've upgraded him, he's now got full plate armor on a Barded Steed. So he's on a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, he's only got 2 up at that point, hasn't he?
Yeah. But he's got Galmaraz. So
yeah, you know the best magic weapon in the game.
And weirdly, it doesn't explain what that does in there. So if you're not aware, hits from Galmaraz automatically wound with no armor saves allowed, and these wounds inflict multiple wounds D3.
Best weapon in the game.
Yeah, spicy weapon. No roll into wound, just raw killing power.
If you watched Scott's Quintessential recently, he said that the Runefang was number 1. Galmaraz beats the Runefang.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's a Runefang that does multiple wounds D3. Insane.
Yeah, the option, if this option is chosen, Karl Franz may not exchange his Reichland Runefang for Galmaraz. Rules for full plate armor and Galmaraz can be found in the Warhammer the Empire book on pages 31 and 54 respectively.
Yeah, so you can't take Galmaraz on Karl Franz, but to be fair, unless you're playing a huge game or using 50% Lords and Heroes, the points aren't available anyway. No. So don't worry about it.
And then, if you don't know what full plate armor gives you 4 armor save.
Yep, +2 for his horse because it's barded and he's mounted. 2 up, very good. And wait, there is more.
There's going to be more. So special rules, he's immune to psychology.
Excellent, doesn't run, so he's Templar Grand Master.
Awesome presence. This is just ridiculous. Valton and all friendly units within 6 inches of him have stubborn.
Incredible.
It's a bubble crown of command.
For free. You know what I mean? Like as in, I don't have to cast a spell. I don't have to activate an ability. I don't trade anything.
It's not once per game.
Nope, it's just your stubborn.
Everyone is stubborn. You got great swords, and your entire armor is great swords at that point.
Yeah, so good.
And you're within 6 inches. You're in his inspiring presence of Legion 9.
Yeah.
It's Legion 9 stubborn.
Yeah. Excellent. Plus characters as well.
Maddening it does. Do you see like your Captain Peg
Capacis, yeah.
Capacis. If you are rocking the 50% Lord of Heroes, you got like Leadership 10 stubborn Karl Franz.
Yeah, you could do. That's absolutely outrageous.
Chosen to Sigmar, Valton has a 4-up ward save. There it is.
Yeah, he does. So 2 up armor, 4 up ward, very tough.
He's hard to get rid of.
Stubborn.
And you don't want to fight him because he's going to whack you with Galmaraz.
Yeah, he's a real fighter.
In addition, once per game, he can harness the very power of Sigma!
For Sigma!
Valton must declare that he's harnessing this power at the start of any close combat phase. If he does, roll D3. He adds that number to weapon skill, strength, toughness, and attacks.
So we are clear. You could roll real spicy. If I was using him, you'd be rolling real spicy because I would tell my opponent.
I'm just going to be a big 6.
I would tell him it's going to be the big D3. You know, it's a D3. It's going to be the big 3, and I would roll it.
So you can go up to weapon skill 10,
10.
strength 7, toughness 7 with 7 attacks.
With Galmaraz.
Strength 7. The strength does not matter.
It's when you flip 21 wounds.
There's nothing in the game that has 21 wounds, or there's no single thing that has 21
He
wounds.
could go into a unit of, say,
ogres
and kill 7.
For Sigma!
It's a whole front rank like the Sauron mace from Fellowship of the Ring.
Except the sides are reversed. You've got the big ogres and this little man, and the ogre going flying everywhere.
Ogre bowling. Yeah,
It's
love
just
to
mad.
see
It's
it.
like the one of the video I showed the other. To me, sons of Sigma.
Yeah, it's amazing. And wait, there's even more for this guy.
Then Iron Resolve. The first time Valton suffers a wound that removes him as a casualty, including unsaved wounds that killed him as a result of killing blow, heroic killing blow, or multiple wound special rules, roll 2d6 for removing as a casualty. If the total is less 2 or equal to 9, Valton negates the wound, otherwise Valton is removed as a casualty.
So he just ignores the first time he's going to get killed.
And you got a tough enough time as it is to kill him.
Yeah, because he's got that great ward save as well. This
And
is an addition.
And top arm save.
Yeah.
He is bonkers.
Yeah, he's really great. And that 2d6, 9 or less, you start looking at the potential out options. 6, 4, 4, 6, double 5. 6, 5, 5, 6, double 6. It's so 5 in 6 times, 83% of the time, he's going to ignore that as well. After you've got through his armour and his ward.
And his weapon skill 7 as well.
Yeah, or possibly 10.
Possibly 10.
Yeah.
For Sigma!
And we haven't put any magic spells on him, which we can easily do as well. Everything being stubborn. Totally overlooked.
Everyone goes to like his combat potential, but he's good support and synergy. That is mad.
Yeah, he is.
It's just his points.
You know what? He's worth them though. He's worth 475.
You're not getting a wizard.
Your wizard is your loss at 2-5. Yeah.
You can't even squeeze a level 3 in at that point in time.
You could get a level 4 in at 3k though.
I would be tempted.
And I think at 3k you're massively overlooking. People, there's a lot of potential in this guy at 3k.
I'm surprised people don't take him purely because they don't have the model.
I've got the
You got the trio, haven't you? You got the.
I've not got the one that this one is based on.
I've not got
the one where he's thrusting the hammer
one
forward. I've got the twin tail comet and the hammer, the really beautiful one on the 50 mil.
he's doing the twin tail.
Do you know what? I've got the Games Day version of him on foot as well in the armour.
Oh, do you?
With the hammer.
So I got the Archon on foot as well. So
yeah.
Yes.
So, I'm going to bring you some little facts I chucked on the sheet. I think we've covered a lot of it. He's 3 for output. Comes from his Iron Resolve special rule, adding to his strength and his attacks once per game, which as a minimum would make
was that his chosen Sigma special?
Chosen a Sigma. Yeah, I don't know what for Iron Resolve. He's chosen a Sigma. Sorry, which as a minimum will make his output 3 for that turn. So I've gone with that as at the right time. This is potentially game winning, and actually his output probably before that turn.
Yeah.
I compared him to Templar Grandmaster because his stat line he's basically a Templar Grandmaster stat line.
Yeah.
What else have I got here? 3 for special rules, as he's got multiple consistent special rules, and the synergy score, giving stubborn to multiple units, combating an actual weakness of Empire, which is that their leadership
He's a bit naff.
He's a bit naff, and ultimately, like when they are beaten in combat, they're not hard to beat most Empire units in combat because they're very averagely statted.
They are just a man.
But you do have lots of them, so you do want them to stick around.
Yeah. He's just. I do think he's underlooked. If you're taking the Templar Grandmaster tooled up, consider.
Yeah, they're about 250, a really tooled up one, but he is a head and shoulder above that.
Yeah, you either take Valson or you take a Grandmaster with a wizard.
But you could do level 2 wizards.
You could just bulk out level 2s and maybe take the Light Council.
Light Council is the obviously strong choice if you're going to do that. You could take a couple, take one with a Staff of Sorcery for +3 to Dispel. You're not doing too badly then.
Take one with a Spell Scroll. You are helping yourself. It's just
then the other one probably takes Scroll of Shielding. If you're really worried about defence, 4-up ward save against the wounds from one spell. You look at something like a Doom Bolt getting chucked at a unit, or something like Demigryphs or Knights, you probably let that go, rely on the armour save and the ward save combined. That's pretty good. So
there are options about him. You are going to lose a bit of casting offensiveness, but you can make up the defensive.
He's definitely one for a big boy beatdown at some point though. Him and Archeon could be a real fight.
Moving on.
But we'll move on. So, Warriors of Chaos players, you have waited patiently. You are our final special character in this. We have a real Chaos legend.
Yeah, I must admit, he's coming back from Storm Magic.
He has been in the hobby. He has been in Warhammer Fantasy as long as I have.
What, this model?
Yeah.
I don't actually own this model. I want to get this model. I don't actually own it.
It's a really nice model as well.
It's a good Chaos Lord model. Yeah,
it's great. So we have Crom the Conqueror, who comes in with a very competitive 15 out of 24, I think. Now, I know that I hit Krell hard on 16, but 15 out of 24 for this guy. He is a pure combat character.
He doesn't actually do anything else apart from combat.
Other than fight. So 15 is very good for that. He's a 4 for output, and he's a 1 for special rules, 1 for synergy, 1 for risk. This is where he gets hurt, because he's not buffing anything and he's got to go in. 4 for survivability, though. And 4 for cost.
230 points for a good Chaos Lord.
I'm going to explain why I think he's a 4 for cost in a second.
It's only 30 points more than a basic Chaos Lord.
20 points more.
Are they 210? Are they 210?
Yeah. So, I've given him a 1 for special rules, as the one that would improve this is Way of the Warrior. But I've included that instead in his output and survivability scores. So I didn't feel that I could then give him like buffs on special rules.
You can give him the double bubble.
As well, yeah. So we'll get to his Way of the Warrior in a minute. So he gets a bit crazy. Let's cover his stat lines.
Stat lines. Movement 4, which is
Chaos Warrior.
Weapon skill 9. He's 1 above the Chaos Lord already.
Yeah.
Bliss skill 3, who cares? Strength and toughness of 5. 3 wounds. Initiative 8, 1 above the Chaos Lord. 5 attacks, leadership 9.
So, point of weapon skill, point of initiative would be worth 10 points combined, 5 points for each, approximately. Yep. So, at the minute, we've paid 10 points more than a Chaos Lord. And now that is a basic Chaos Lord. That is a Chaos Lord in Chaos Armour with a hand weapon. I want everyone to bear that in mind.
Equipment, he has 2 hand weapons, Chaos Armour, and a shield.
So, if you paid for a shield or 2 hand weapons, you would be now approaching the cost of Crom. A couple of points in it.
Alright, so special rules wise, he's Eye of Gods, so he has to challenge or accept the challenge. And he gets to roll on the Eye of Gods if he kills a monster or something in a challenge.
Yeah, cool.
Alright. Then he has immense pride. So Crom must always issue a challenge whenever possible, and he must accept the challenge issued by the enemy. If other Chaos Warriors of the Eye of God special rule are present in the same combat, then Crom must still be the one to issue and accept. So he has to be the one.
Yeah, so that's a drawback for him.
You can't just send him the Chaos Champion.
It's fair to say that that's probably worth knocking a little bit off of his points. But let's take a look at Way of the Warrior.
Way of the Warrior. So a lot of Storm Chaos, like sort of veterans will remember this. It's not as good as what it was in Storm of Chaos.
Is it not?
No, because some of it bits and pieces are not as good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Way of the Warrior. At the start of each close combat phase, you must declare whether Crom is using a hand weapon and a shield, or 2 hand weapons. He is treated to being armed with only these weapons until the next time he attacks in the close combat phase, at which time you choose whether you could carry on using the same weapons or swap over as you see fit.
So now we're talking about real flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Crom uses a hand weapon and shield, the shield adds 2 to his armor save rather than only 1, and his parry save is a 5 up.
So he's now got a 2 up, 5 up.
Yeah.
On foot. Beast. With 5, strength 5, weapon skill 9
so
attacks.
he's still a Chaos Lord.
Yeah, he's still a beast.
If he uses 2 hand weapons, he has 3 extra attacks rather than only 1 extra attack.
So we just have to settle for 8 weapon skill 9
so that's 3
strength
extra
5
attacks. That's a Sword of Bloodshed.
Yeah, 60 points.
Mad.
Yeah.
And then the +1 armor save, so that'd be like your Enchanted Shield and a Fire Ward save, which is your 30 points Talisman Endurance.
If you said that it's only worth 15 because it's a parry and you only get it half the time, you're still 20 points for that. But you've got both. It's that ability to choose both. It's really hard to factor in how you'd point that on. Maybe another 5 or 10 points.
I say it's not as good as the Storm of Chaos one, because if he does hand weapon and shield, then magic weapons become mundane and magic.
Is that
That's what he used to do, yeah.
Okay,
as well as doing that.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's flexibility.
Hugely flexible. So, we've basically paid 10 points. we have to challenge, as opposed to being able to let someone else do it for
You
us.
are going to have to mug off a unit champion at some point in time, but you're going to get...
But you're going to get max overkill.
You're also going to get a 3 Ardent Gods as well. Because you just go additional weapons, get 3 attacks, just go for the max overkill as much as you can.
So I've got here 8 attacks or a 2+ armor save with a 5-up parry. It makes the guy so versatile. His Chaos Lord stat line is nothing to be sniffed at. He is a scary good combat lord. He really is. And we haven't thought about the fact that we can improve him with magic as well, which we easily can, because Warriors of Chaos get some great magic. If you get Glittering Robe off on him, all of a sudden he's just got 8 attacks with 2-up armor save.
If you get Flaming Sword off on him as well.
Yep. +1 to hit.
Enchanted Blades. Other spells out there, you debuff the enemy unit like Melkoff's Withering.
Laura Nurgle.
You give him regen, give him +D3 toughness.
Yep.
Debuffs with some Nash, give him like...
Herald, Hysterical Frenzy on his regiment, up his attacks by 2.
And his own attacks only go by 1. So you don't get you gain Frenzy. You only get the additional 2 if you get if you already have Frenzy.
Yeah, cool.
He's solid.
Yeah. I've got here. He's 20 points more than a basic Chaos Lord, who comes with, who
doesn't come with a shield, to be honest.
No, he doesn't. No,
doesn't come with a shield.
He literally comes with
a
hand weapon
and
Chaos Armor, and he's a point of weapon skill and a point of initiative better than that. He's a fantastic model. Why would I not take him? If I was going to take a Chaos Lord, this is the one I would take every time.
You're missing out on stuff like the marks and stuff like that. You're missing out on some universal ward save at that point in time as well, like saying a ward save outside of combat. You're missing some bits and pieces, but to be honest, you are 20 points. You can it's a Chaos Lord on the budget.
Yeah, I think he's great. At 230 points. Chaos do not get 230 point characters that will kill like that.
No, and plus with 230 you can then still get level 4 in.
Easily. Because
your basic Chaos Lords, you are going to be torn up and they're going to be pushing the 400 mark.
Absolutely.
But he's sticking at 230 and your Chaos Sorcerers are 235. So you're looking at 465. You've got like over 100 points spent on Magic Items with a Chaos Lord. You can take the Disc Lord.
Yeah, Disc Wizard. Phenomenal. Look, guys, he's a fantastic model as well.
Yeah.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see this guy. Don't know why he's overlooked so much.
Because everyone does like to take the or Demon Princes.
Demon Prince.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I think if I take Master of Chaos Lords, no, he's like
you
know
know what?
Demon
There's no comp on this guy in our events.
There's not, because he's not overly broken and he's not underpowered.
No, he's good.
He's just solid.
A good choice. Could be some mileage there for people. And that is it, guys. All of the units, all of the special characters in this supplement have been rated.
They have, yeah. That's everything. There have been some absolute belters.
There have. Now, the supplement is also packed full of special missions and kind of narrative elements, which we don't cover in deep dives.
I'll mention one of my favourite narrative missions is in here, which is just Nagash versus Cetra. And it's Nagash versus the Tomb King army.
Yeah, led by Cetra. Very cool.
Which is like that. I love that image from the end times. The Nagash, big Nagash, and Cetra's riding past,
trying to swing it.
Drive by swinging at him. That's a
cool.
fantastic image.
Great artwork. So there are no generic kind of mundane or magic items available in this supplement.
They're all included in your individual army books.
Yep. So that just means that all we have left to do is move on to the Lore of Undeath in the next section.
Yeah, and we're going to find out why it's best on Nagash and Arcan than anyone else.
We certainly are. The Lore of Undeath is a very different and quite unique lore of magic.
It is, yeah.
It is available to any army thanks to the changes that the End Times Nagash supplement made. Although it's fair to say, as much as I've seen lots of Goblin players feel the need to take it and have loads of Goblins that summon stuff, which is really funny, I must admit. That was a really popular thing at one point. Loads of Goblin Shamans with magic mushrooms summoning stuff.
That was a big thing back then.
It was, wasn't it? And I'm still not sure 100% why, but I did enjoy seeing Goblins summoning light councils. I just thought that was hilarious to me. just so funny.
Goblins summoning the Casket of Souls and summoning light councils.
Yeah.
Mad!
It's quality, isn't it?
What?
Loads of fun. So, I'll have to do it at some point. I've got the Goblins. I never win with them anyway, so I might as well do it. But it is at its very best on certain special characters from the Undead Legion army list, basically.
The two we've alluded to so far.
Now, the thing that is particularly unique about this lore is that it has an entirely different and new type of spell,
as a unit,
which are summoning spells. So we're going to go through the description of summoning spells to begin our discussion about the lore itself. And I have got here. Could you please read it through, because there's lots of text.
There's a lot of text in this one. So summoning spells are a type of spell that enable the caster to place a new unit under the owning player's command onto the battlefield. The spell will specify what type of unit is summoned and how many points worth of models that it can have. Such units are referred to as summoned units. Summoned units can be upgraded to include any options listed in their army list entries, but must adhere to the minimum unit sizes as normal. So you can put upgrades on them as well.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But they all come out of that points cost.
Yeah, so it's worth pointing out that we set some really strong restrictions in our event packs on summoned units, so you need to check out the FAQ. They can't score, for example, in missions where you've got like fortitude that matters, and we don't allow you to purchase like lots of upgrades on them and things like that as well, because otherwise they just get a little bit beyond silly. You'd have guys basically summon a vampire that's got Master of the Black Arts, which makes, and things like that. So we do crack down quite hard on that, and we also insist that you have a summoning pool that you show your opponent and say, these are all of the models that I have available to summon, because no one likes to feel like they were hoodwinked by something. And also, I do recall an event many years ago that I was at where there was a guy that was literally running around the gaming hall asking every undead player their dead models on the side of their table.
Really?
To borrow them. Yeah.
No, you just tell the guys to go away.
He had 7 Terrorgeists on the table.
Did he use Nagash?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I was like, how the hell's he done that? But he got Nagash.
And he was literally running around grabbing stuff at different points in the event.
Why would you do that? Just bring your own stuff.
Well, because he didn't have enough, because he was having such a good game of it.
You know you're bringing Nagash, then just... Oh.
Yeah, some people, they just like to win at all costs, so,
Anyway.
not that I'm making any judgment calls, because I'm someone who likes to win a lot of games as well.
You are.
Just saying that we set some of those restrictions. Please continue.
So the summoned unit must be deployed wholly within the spell's range and at least 1 inch away from all units, buildings and impassable terrain. A unit can be placed facing any direction in any legal formation. It does not need to be deployed in the caster's line of sight or forward arc. If the summoned unit includes more than 5 models, its front rank must be at least 5 models wide. Summoned units cannot be dispelled and do not award victory points under any circumstances. Finally, if a summoned unit cannot be deployed because there's not enough room, the unit does not enter play at all, though the spell's lore attribute may still apply.
Okay, so there's a couple of really key points I want to cover here.
You can't turn them off.
You can't get rid of them afterwards. No. You can't kind of dispel them.
You can't. I'll let it go, so I'm going to put all my dice into getting rid of the unit.
Don't confer victory points. That's a big one, because this is when I was saying about how Nagash works so strongly. You can just drag all those models up in front of the enemy, and they're chopping through them and scoring nothing and taking a lot of casualties in the process.
You put them in front of your army that you have paid points for and just not give anything away.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in building really support heavy armies if you're going to do that, that don't like to fight, and then raising up all the stuff that will do the fighting for you, so you're giving no VPs away. I've also got here, they still need to be legal units. You can't say, I'm going to summon 2 Necropolis Knights, because that's all I've got the points to summon.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah? You still need to meet minimum unit sizes.
Yeah, it must adhere to the minimum unit sizes as normal.
And that is a huge drawback. I know you're thinking, well, it doesn't make sense. It's a huge drawback, because when we start looking at the limits on the amount of points you summon, it actually starts ruling out entire choices. So, with all of that covered, we're going to analyse the Lore of Undeath with our Magic Lore rating system. This can be found on triplecrownwargaming.com, but to put it simply, we'll give the lore a score out of 24.
On the door.
Do you like that face? Based on the following 6 criteria. Variety of spell types, power and frequency of the lore attributes, average spell range, spell flexibility, average casting value, and the quality of the lore's signature spell. So we are going to start Lore of Undeath, and I'm going to begin with the lore attribute, which is called Raise the Dead.
Yes.
Chieftain?
If you please. Right, so Raise the Dead. Place a Raise the Dead counter, a coin will suffice, on the battlefield each time a friendly wizard successfully casts a spell from the Lore of Undeath. Any friendly wizard that subsequently casts a summoning spell from the Lore of Undeath can choose to expend 1 or more of your counters after they have successfully cast their spell. For each counter that is expended, increase the points worth of the model summoned by that point by 10 points. Not a lot.
It's not a lot, but I've got here, it's actually a good attribute. As we know, the vast majority of spells in this lore are summoning spells. I believe it's...
1, 2, 3, 4.
4?
4, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay, excellent.
One direct damage, 2 augments.
Yeah, so the vast majority are summoning. So you'll use the counters a lot. They're worth 30 points for Nagash as well because he triples the value of the counters.
20 points for...
20 points for Arcan, which should not be sniffed at. 3 counters, for example, allows you to raise a Terrorgeist from spell 5 or a Kemrian War Sphinx.
For Nagash, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say when they build up, or they save them all up.
Hang on. Am I right? No, you can raise that with a regular wizard. 3 counters...
How many points to Terrorgeist? 225.
225. So 3 counters on spell 5 for any wizard would raise your Terrorgeist.
Yeah, one counter with Nagash is enough to do it.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Well, I do see a lot of Nagash players just save all their counters and raise Manfred von Carstein.
Yeah, well, two counters and 2 counters is sufficient to raise Manfred. Because Manfred is a monster.
Yeah, so
200-point monster becomes a 600-point monster. 2 counters is 660 points of monster. So you can raise them more times. And that is what I always used to do with Nagash. I'm not going to lie to you.
Manfred!
Turn 2, I'm like, here's Neferata. Have a good afternoon.
Just said Neferata.
Throw her in.
The Neferata missile.
So it's pretty spicy stuff. It makes the attribute have a really meaningful effect on the lore.
Yeah, it does.
And it triggers on every single spell as well.
Yeah, which is very good.
The attribute is a big win for this lore.
Moving on.
Yeah, signature spell. Rise the Grave Call. This is a summoning spell. Yay! Has a range of 12 inches and a casting value of 9. And this is it. The units have to be raised wholly within the range of the spell as well.
It's also the one the Gash has to take.
Yes, but he obviously makes that 36 inches. So for this, you can raise 50 points of infantry from the Undead Legion's army list on a 9. And this is when I say, not Nagash, 10 skeletons. I just don't know, it's rubbish.
What's Raised Dead cast on?
Raised Dead is cast on a 9.
Oh, but it's not points, it's dice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's dice worth. But statistically, you'll score almost the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
Yeah. This can be boosted to a 14 plus, at which point it is 100 points of infantry instead. So 20 skeletons. Worth having, but 14 is a big cast. Again, when you start looking, however, at Nagash,
that's 300 points.
It's 60 skeletons.
It's 300 points. It's not even 60 skeletons, it could be like 60, it's like 300 points of a Graveguard.
It could be 30 ghouls.
Yeah.
Now that is worth having, and this is what we're talking about. And even with your main man Arcan, that's so much better.
That's still 200 points.
Although it's only range 12, 200 points, couple of counters, you could get yourself a nice size unit, 35, 40 skeletons.
Well, 200 points, only 12-inch range, you're going to be hanging back to your Arcan, use 12-inch range, 200 points of skeleton archers.
Yeah, you could, that's a really good shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot, that's like 30.
Yeah.
Because they're only 6 points.
And that's your magic phase, you get to shoot that same turn.
Yeah, you do, yeah. Whoosh. Nice. So you can see what we're saying. On the kind of average caster, it's not that great. And a 14 plus is a lot to cast, I think, for 100 points worth. But when you're looking at those 2 special characters, we'll keep saying this. Or on a 16 plus, you could instead have 150 points of monstrous infantry. So that's a minimum unit of your Shapti, just 3.
Yeah.
It's 4 Cryptoras? No, it's not quite, it's 3. You'd need a counter to get a 4th one. Annoying. 3 Vargheists.
So it's basically 3.
Which is really frustrating, again, until you get into Nagash.
You get Nagash, whose diamond's 450, or Arcane suffers 300 points.
Yeah. So I've just got here, realistically, it's just okay on a regular wizard, but it's never better than that. It's pretty amazing on Arcane or Nagash. I mean, rocking up a unit with, say, a counter, you could rock up a unit of sort of 7 Cryptoras. That's a meaty unit.
That's a unit you actually take.
That's a unit I would take. Yeah.
What I don't like about Rise though is the big version, the 16 plus. You don't get infantry. I can only take only monstrous. I prefer if it was monstrous infantry or basic infantry.
I've got here. I find the points values on the raise options really annoying. They just do not seem to have looked at the points costs of units in your book that you can raise when coming up with the figures. Like I say, like 3 Cryptoras is 4 Cryptoras is 150.
Is that 2?
4 points.
That's
152. Yeah, 152 points or something like that.
Each for 38.
38. Yeah, 152. So again, it's like, So annoying. It's so annoying.
Caveman James don't like.
It's so annoying. It's just so stupid. And the same with like you Shapti, they're 50 points, but you can't then take like
You can't take the upgrades.
you can't take any of the actual equipment on them.
They come with great weapons.
I think they come with great weapons, so you can't swap them for
I think
additional
the great weapons and the bows are free.
Yeah,
We
no,
checked
you
this
can't
last
swap
week.
them for additional hand weapons though.
They come with additional weapons, don't they?
No, they don't. No,
Oh.
they're 5 points.
I think no. I think they might be free. We checked this last week after the event. I think.
No, I don't think so.
We'll have a look.
They're annoying. It's annoying. The points values are silly. Let's move on. Morkan, Breath of Darkness, spell number 1. Our first of 2 augments. This one targets a friendly unit with the Undead special rule within 12 and is cast on a 6+. So again, 12-inch range, really low range. The unit immediately regains D3 plus 1 wounds worth of models as per Resurrecting Fallen Warriors. In addition, if they are unengaged, they can make a normal move as if it was the remaining move subphase.
So it's a combination of the Restless Dead Lore Tribute and Van Hel.
So this is basically a poor version of Kassar's Desert Wind from the Lore of Nakara.
Yeah, he's actually yeah.
But you do always regain the lost wounds, because with Kassar's Desert Wind, if you can't move, you don't regain the wounds.
Do you not?
No, because you can't be affected if you can't move, because you have to be unengaged. To be affected. And then the lore attributes will give you the wounds. It's alright for a 6+ to cast though. It is a low cast value, it's nice, but again, when you're just dropping Lore of Undeath into an army, it doesn't have a lot of value. If you're dropping it into that goblin army, it doesn't have a lot of value. You can't, you can only grow wounds back on what you've already raised, and you can't go above starting value as we discussed earlier. Or could you on... I don't think you could on zombies either, could you? Because zombies say they can be taken above starting value, but only by... Is it specify?
I've got the book on my phone.
We'll take a check and we'll come back to you on that. You might be able to use it with zombies to raise above start, but we will check that very quickly in a second. Spell number 2, Sulkhim, the Hand of Dust.
Sulkhim, I think.
Yeah, the Hand of Dust. This is our second augment and targets the wizard himself. It's cast on a 7+. Max, I'm going to ask you to read through this one because it's a lot of stuff.
So, yeah, as James said, it's cast on the wizard. In close combat, the caster can choose to exchange all of his normal attacks to make a single Hand of Dust attack against one enemy model in base contact with him or his mount. If the hit roll is successful, the target model suffers a wound with multiple wounds D6 special rule, with no arm saves allowed. If the Hand of Dust attack slays an enemy character in a challenge, you may immediately gain additional D6 raised dead counters.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. So I've got here, it's situational, but he's very scary for an opponent.
It's funny when you're level 1 Necromancer, just
yeah.
kills a character.
You're always going to remember when it came off, is what I've got here. Overall though, the wizard has a good chance of being killed before even making his Hand of Dust attack.
I wouldn't do it on a Vampire Lord because they've got enough combat potential.
Exactly.
Anyway. And I use the risky potential on like a Necromancer
or a
Lich Priest.
Lich Priest, yeah.
Because they will just die.
I've got here, they will likely have poor weapon skill when doing so probably not worth writing home about. The additional counters from it though are good.
D6 extra counters. That's if you roll a 6, that's 6 potential spells that you've had to cast to get that many counters.
Yeah, that is good, isn't it? So we're going to move on now to Kizar, the Soul Stealer. Our only direct damage spell. Again, we have a range of 12 inches on this one. It targets one enemy unit in range and has a cast value of 8+. You roll 2d6 and add 2, comparing this total to the leadership of the target unit. For each point the total exceeds the leadership value, they suffer 1 or more wounds with no armor saves allowed. If you score any unsaved wounds, you gain D3 additional raise dead counters.
I mean, it's Banshee Scream.
So I've literally got here, it's a Banshee Scream.
Banshee Scream that you get D3 raise dead counters for.
There are lots of synergies that you can use to make this better. We talked earlier about Vlad's minus leadership bubbles, Aura of Dark Majesty,
Doom
Darkness, but really,
look at like a Banshee and see why they aren't particularly taken, and then go from there.
It's low range, it's poor output. To be honest, you're only casting it for counters, and you're not going to get very many from it because it's not going to do.
You only have to cause 1 wound, which is
it's 1 wound for D3 counters.
You only have to cause 1 wound for D3 counters, so it's.
It's not great. You're just casting it for counters, guys. It's a bit disappointing. I think if you had 4 spells on this lore, you'd be gutted if this was the one that you rolled. That and the hand, I'd be gutted for both. I want the others.
I think you take the hand for just for meme purposes.
Yeah, for the fun. I'll tell you what, Empire with Battle Wizard, Van Horseman Speculum, Hand of Dust. That guy is scary.
With the Weather Wagon and the Puppet Mill as well.
The Weather Wagon would do it, wouldn't it? Yeah. Spell number 4.
These spell names are really pushing your limit.
Raskar, the Abyssal Swarm. We're finally back to summoning. Woo! This one has a range of
12 inches!
Yeah, again. Woo.
They're all 12 inches.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
They're all 12 inches apart from Silicon, which is the wizard himself.
They're rubbish. It's cast on 10+, and summons a unit of war beasts or swarms from the Undead Legion's army list with a value of 75 points. The wizard can instead boost this to a 16+, to summon a unit of monstrous beasts with a value of 150 points instead.
That's Fellbats only, isn't it? That's only Fellbats.
No, they're war beasts.
There's no monstrous beasts.
There is. It's just the points value on these.
Are you thinking of Carrion?
No, Carrion or war beasts.
Are they war beasts?
Yep. The wizard can boost it to that. Yeah, sorry, for 150 points. It's just the points value on these. When you don't boost them up with the raised dead counters or by being Nagash, those points values feel quite poor on the swarms. You're going to get 2 bat swarms.
2 bat swarms, maybe a couple of bases of tomb swarms.
No, they're 40 points base, which means you can't get a legal unit without a counter.
Without a counter.
Again, we're back to, I didn't think about the points of the units because it's just a bat swarm.
Yeah.
That's it. Rubbish. Now, the War Beast one.
There's Tomb Scorpion.
Tomb Scorpions are a great choice for the boosting value of this spell. I actually think that is what I would do. If I got this on a regular wizard, in particular, all I'd be doing is looking at Tomb Scorpions.
Points of Tomb Scorpion?
75.
Yeah, but you have to boost it to the big version though.
Oh yeah, you do, yeah.
But then it's 16 to cast.
Yeah, but 3 Tomb Scorpions pretty spicy.
If you could summon multiple Tomb Scorpions from it, you could summon 2 Tomb Scorpions.
Sepulchral Stalkers, they're monstrous beasts.
Are they?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're rubbish, but...
Yeah, you wouldn't take them because they are trash. We're trying to find use for the spell.
Yeah, it's just the Scorpion for me.
Yeah.
But the Swarm one for example, with Arcan is quite good. You can drop with 1 counter, you're dropping 4 Tomb Swarms on the table. That's not bad when they've got the poisoned attacks.
Big Nagash, you're getting
6.
3 times 75, what's that?
Yeah.
225?
Yeah.
Plus.
So with 1 counter, you're getting 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Bat Swarms, obviously, with those would be 4, which 4 is quite a lot. That's quite a big unit. Look, 2 isn't bad, I must say, because 2 is what I'd normally use. But yes, so again, those Swarms, Monstrous Beast, not the best for Undead.
I mean, number 5, this next spell is the one that everyone...
And this is the problem with the lore, is that fundamentally, the Sig is alright for summoning. It's alright. It's good if you're Arcan or Nagash, but otherwise it's only alright. The next spell does way too much.
It does.
It's just all of the good stuff in one spell, and it's really annoying that it's like this. So we have Kandarak, the Harbinger. This one is 5, spell number 5. Another summoning spell with a range of, you guessed it, 12 inches.
Yeah.
It's cast on a 10+. The caster may summon a character worth 65 points. So that is a Khan Wraith, a Necromancer. That is a Khan Wraith. Yeah. They're ace.
Yeah.
They're ace. Khan Wraiths, they're brilliant. Great. The caster may summon a character. With a counter, it's Light Wizards from the Lore of Undeath, because they're 70 points. So again, didn't really think about that, did we? Level 1 Light Wizards from the Tomb King book, 70 points, which is, building your own light council. We talked about this earlier, it's hideous. With Nagash, that's level 3 Light Wizards. Yep.
You can boost it though.
You certainly can, and it goes to a whopping 24.
That's 14 points extra on top of the castle.
But you get a monster, chariot, or war machine worth up to 200 points. Now, this is what's annoying. So it's characters, monsters, chariots, or war machines, one spell. Couldn't have divided some of that up. No. Couldn't have made that so that there's a bit more interest. This is the one spell everyone saves their dice to stop, basically.
It is, unless you miscast it. Then the only person who really wants to miscast it is Nagash. Again, we're back to Nagash again.
Yeah,
because he has the miscast protection.
Yeah. I mean, if you get your main man Arcan on it, you can have a 400 point unit of chariots or monsters.
No, it's chariot. Chariots is the next one. It's a single chariot.
Oh, a single chariot. So yeah.
So you get Corpse Cart.
Yeah,
or Black Coach.
Yeah, Black Coach. Or the big one would be Mortis, wouldn't it? Mortis Engine.
Yeah,
with a counter.
Yeah.
With 2 counters, you could get a Mortis engine from Arcan.
You can't get.
No, you wouldn't. You'd get it on 1 with no counters.
You can't get the Coven Throne because that's an upgrade to a character.
So
You have to use the basic version with a lot of counters.
Yeah.
And really, that's only going to be Nagash that's going to win that one.
Yeah. So again, we're back to
Nagash or
Arcan. But the key one here is 200 points, couple of counters. You've got a Terrorgeist, you've got a Khemrian War Sphinx. That's what you're looking at.
That's what it comes down to.
That's what this one comes down to.
No, the first thing you do cast though is Casket Souls.
Yeah. Casket's really good. Catapult's really good as well.
Hyrule Titans.
Hyrule Titan is a free one, 175, no counters required.
So
But it's a 24.
Yeah.
It's all your dice, 6 dice.
I don't like the fact that these spells, summon spells, when you boost them, you lose the lower option of what you summon.
Yeah.
So if you boost it to the bigger version, the 24, you lose out on summoning a character. Well, I suppose it means you don't get a 600-point character if you're like Nagash or something like that.
Yeah.
You can't just summon like.
But the joke of it is you can, because the Mortarks are monsters.
Yeah, they are. Type. You can summon Mortark, Manfred.
3 counters, any Mortark.
You can summon yours.
It's Mortark Manfred is where it's
Master
at
Black
because
Arts.
Master Black Arts then comes into play. It's silly.
Well, you said you might want to go Mortark Neferata and just chuck her in.
Yeah. Raw.
Actually, we were going on about it's either Nagash or Arcan. Take Nagash, one or both. Summon Arcan.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you do.
Just summon Arcan.
Early doors summon Arcan. So, our final spell is Akararan.
Akararan?
The Caravan? A caravan?
A
caravan. The Dark Riders.
I mean, it's Akaran, yeah.
Another summoning spell, this one, which is cast on a 16+, and of course has a whopping range of 12 inches. It allows you to summon either a unit of cavalry, monstrous cavalry, or chariots up to 150 points.
So nothing.
Could you just excuse me for just 1 minute?
It's not a lot.
Unit of 3 Necropolis Knights. 185 points. No, 195 points. Can't summon it.
You can't summon a unit of 3 chariots. They're 55 points model.
Yeah. Who thought of these values? Who thought of them? We are now in a Ragnarok's need to move 8 inch territory. Who thought of these values?
Do you know what it's come down to? A lot of things, when they wrote this law, they wanted you to combine it with the lore attribute so you can summon more. So you actually
they wanted you to combine it with the special characters, the big expensive characters. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
So let's be real. Hexwraiths are by far and away the very best use for this spell.
So that's 5 Hexwraiths, isn't it?
5 Hexwraiths is 150 points. If you are not taking the big characters, 5 Hexwraiths is the one. Yeah. With Arcan, that's 10 Hexwraiths. That's a max unit. That is terrifying. Quite literally, they cause terror. So...
Oh, you can only take units of 15, can't you?
No, units of 10 is the cap.
Oh, it's cap 10?
Cap 10.
Ah.
But with both of the characters, Blood Knights or big blocks of the legendary Necropolis Knights are obviously what I would be all over with this spell.
Nagash summoning 450 points of Necropolis Knights. How many is that? So how many points do they base?
65?
Math's not my strong suit.
No, it's 7.
So you can't get the big 8.
No, 7 with commands. Pretty good though. Use a counter, it's only.
And we've all seen that movement tray.
Yeah, we have.
We've all seen that movement tray.
100. There's 100. That movement tray would accommodate 120 mil infantry. That's how big it is.
So just summoning 100 zombies.
That's what your equivalent is now. So yeah, really, really good with those characters. Blood Knights as well, excellent.
Oh, you Blood Knights, Black Knights.
Yeah, Black Knights okay. Blood Knights excellent when they're free.
You can summon.
They do so much damage.
150 points worth of horse archers if you want.
I mean, you know what? We joke, but on a real conversation with the big characters, that is a lot. You'd be looking at almost 15 with Arcan, for example. It's quite a lot of shots to add to your list.
No, we're not talking about Nagash when he summons 450 points worth of horse archers.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at adding a lot of shots with that.
And in fast cav as well, so they can just move around everywhere.
They are going to be like when we had the Illyrian bus.
The Illyrian bus.
At that point, which is probably a little bit excessive, but yeah. I mean, that's where we're at, guys. So,
right. So I think real talk, down to brass tacks here. You are only ever going to take this lore if you're being Mimi, or if you're taking Arcan or Nagash.
It does feel very hard to see how you're going to get game-winning stuff out of it, and you're sacrificing for a lot of armies the bread and butter that wins them games, because a lot of armies are looking at their laws. Empire, they've got battle magic laws,
battle magic
really strong. High elves, Lore of High Magic.
Chaos Scotland and Slash. And
Yeah.
Nurgle.
Again, goblins.
Lore a Little While.
You know, Lore a Little While, was it 20 when we rated that?
Yeah, it was.
Amazing. So you're losing out a lot. I do wonder if for an army like Skaven, this could be a way to go that's really underexplored.
What I see a lot of people do talk about online is the fact that Croak can take it as well.
Yeah, Croak can, really weirdly.
So you you get your deliverance of pizzas, and
Deliverance of pizza.
and you can also then take 4 spells from Lore of Undeath.
That's a really interesting thought. That could be one for a battle report as well.
Give yourself some cheap fodder for a Lisbon army.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I do.
I mean, it makes sense. The frog is dead, so you think you'd have more
The frog is dead.
long live
He's more in touch with the undead.
than Nagash is, to be honest. The frog is dead. Long live the frog.
So let's get a rating score for this lore. It's 2 for variety of spell types, I'm afraid, because it just doesn't have a lot of variety. We've treated summoning spells as kind of hex augment type spells for this because they're not damage spells. 4 for the power and frequency of the lore attribute because that is good. 1 for the average spell range. It's a toilet range.
Yeah, it is.
2 for spell flexibility, 3 for average casting value because the base levels aren't too bad. And
No, they're actually relatively low. Apart from the final one, they're all 10 or 10
but you're gonna use the boosted values is the pain with that. And 2 for the quality of the signature spell because unfortunately it is just okay. If you want to get a better picture of how we calculate those scores, you can check that out on triplecrownwargaming.com as we said at the start. That's a total, everyone, of 14 out of 24, which is a really disappointing score. In fact, it is the worst score for a Lore of Magic that we have rated that has all of the constituent rateable parts, i.e. it's got an attribute, it's got a sig.
Yeah.
The only ones that fell short of that were the old laws from previous editions.
Plague, Ruin and Wild.
Yeah. Now, it is worth noting that if you are using this Lore of Nagash, the score actually immediately jumps to 17 out of 24.
Which is still not great.
And that's because you see the average spell range go from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
It's a huge jump.
I think if you are taking this lot, you are taking Nagash.
Yeah, and I've just out my final note point here, because obviously we do the notes separately and then come back together. It shows why outside of special characters you don't see Lore of Undeath all that often, unless the player is really specific in mind with it. In the hands of Nagash, however, the lore carries a lot of potential to the table.
It's just, I have not personally seen it in person. I've watched videos online of it being used. The video I watched online said someone let the basic spell go off, yeah? And he goes, cool, I'm summoning 400 points of Graveguard in your back lines.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
It's a bit good then, isn't it?
It's just summoning armies.
Yeah.
Armies that aren't giving away points.
With the big man Nagash, that is the way it goes down. Yeah.
He's summoning armies. He's summoning Terrorgeist. He's summoning Caskets. He's summoning Light Councils.
Yeah. I remember using Nagash in a game, and the guy didn't want to get tabled, and he had a Chimera on 2 wounds left, and he flew it away from me at the end of the game and was like, "You've got nothing that can get in range of it."
Don't tell me you did it to him.
And I moved Nagash forward and summoned a Banshee.
Oh, he's going to summon Prince Pothas.
No, I summoned a Banshee, and then the Banshee, because they've got like leadership like 4, the Banshee went and just killed it. I felt really bad, but it was really good.
I guess the
It's
guy
like tripling the range for Nagash.
the guy you're playing, like, I've got nothing
He
left.
was like, honestly, that was really good with it. I was like, it's just so horrible. He's so strong. Yeah, just.
It would have been worse if you summoned Prince Pothas and killed him with the breath.
It certainly would have. So, we are going to move on now to have a look at our Legion of Undead army lists.
Undead Legions.
Yeah, Legion of Undead, Undead Legions, I'm happy either way. But we are going to start that next section by just double checking our books and seeing if you can use the number 3 spell, 1 spell, there we go, Breath of Darkness, to raise zombies above starting size. We'll just check a quick clarification on that, and then we will be in with the army lists proper. Get ready. Okay, we are in to the final part of our video, which is all about Undead Legion army lists. And just to clarify, as I said we would check in the previous section, that you can use the spell
more calm, Breath of Darkness,
to raise zombies above starting size, because it does say any spell that adds
Resurrects
resurrects models or adds models to the unit can take them above starting size. It doesn't work, however, with Master of the Dead, because that specifies Invocation of Nehek is the spell that the Master of the Dead affects, and this is not Invocation of Nehek. So, we are trying our best for you to clutch all of the competitive juice out of what
there's only one thing in it for competitiveness.
Bit of a lackluster lore. But if you want to go down the using the Lore of Undeath to really punish opponents, it is going to be Nagash or Arcan. But we might try and do something with goblins on the channel at some point.
There's like 10 level 1s using Lore of Undeath.
For funsies.
It'd be so silly.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Tell you what, mate, raising ghouls and then dropping the poisoned attacks.
Oh, gift the spider guy.
Gift the spider guy for the 5-up poison. Yeah, that's some ideas.
You're only getting 150 points of ghouls though, so you're only getting 15.
Throw away and they chuck them in a flame.
Throw away, so they cost no points.
So, let's have a look at those sample army lists. For Undead Legions, we are bringing you 3 2,500 point lists, which is, what we do usually. But there's going to be a little bit of something different in this section to our usual kind of deep dive army list breakdowns. We will be going for one mixed Undead Legion list that really sits nicely in the Triple Crown Wargaming Grand Tournament comp system. We're going to look at a true kind of combat Tomb King army as well. That will fit nicely in that. Because, that's something you can now do thanks to Undead Legions. And then we're going to take a look at one list that uses 50% Lords and Heroes and could be described as in no way fitting into our comp system.
I wonder who's in that army.
I don't. We just couldn't leave without giving you one list. So, let's look at that mixed Undead Legions list coming in at 2,496 points. Vampire Counts would be the parent army book for this one, using our composition system. And that's the composition system from 2022, in case you're watching this later and we've made some updates. So, this one is led by Vlad, Mortarch of Shadow. We waxed quite lyrical about him. We've got 2 level 1 Necromancers on the Lore of Vampires. We've got a Calm Wraith and a Tomb Prince with the Dragon Helm and a Shield.
We did speak about that earlier on.
So nice and cheap on the Dragon Helm, Shield, Tomb Prince. Core, 38 Crypt Ghouls with Champion. Ooh, big unit. 40 Zombies with a Musician. 40 Skeleton Warriors with full command. Into Special, we have got 38 Graveguard with great weapons. Full command and the Banner of the Barrows.
I wonder who's going in that
big unit. Fight unit. We have got 2 units of 2 Bat Swarms and 5 Hex Wraiths.
Yeah. We're
backing that up in the rare slot with a Casket of Souls. Now this is not dissimilar to Chris Trey's 3rd place list from Derby Deathmatch 2022.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, yeah.
Yeah, we saw what Chris was doing there. We really liked a lot of what Chris was doing, and it would just be mad not to give him credit for coming up with that really kind of clever and quite powerful list.
Good job.
Yeah, we liked that, so we stole it. Vlad anchors this list with -1 to hit effects on that massive unit of Graveguard, which are further boosted by the Tomb King's My Will Be Done, increasing their weapon skill to 5, and all of that gets wrapped up in the nice bow of the Banner of the Barrows.
So if your weapon skill 5 +1, 2, you're probably going to hit on 2s.
So you're looking at weapon skill 5 with +1 to hit, weapon skill 5 with -1 to be hit. So you're not getting hit on better than a 4 ever. Most of the time you're being hit on 5s, and you are not hitting on worse than a 3 ever.
4.
3. Unless you've got -1 to hit.
Yeah,
3 is weapon skill 5.
Yeah, you can't
A
hit on
3,
5s.
and very often will be hitting on a 2.
And you can get yourself rerolls with Van Hells and stuff like that as well.
Quite easily. We've got plenty of that in our list as well. Yeah, really, really horrible. That is a powerful, powerful unit. Now the Wraith drops into our Ghoul unit, which gives us 2 Terror Calls in blocks, because Vlad's making the Graveguard calls Terror, and the Wraith is making the Ghouls calls Terror. Now the main force... so these 2 kind of coming together, making up that main force, and then both being tight so they can benefit from that -1 leadership bubble off of Vlad. So the terror is worth more on those 2 units. Now, the terror doesn't stop there, because you've also got a unit of Hex Wraiths that also cause terror. So now you've got 3, and I'm a big fan of this kind of terror bombing type stuff where I make you take the terror checks. I think it's really strong. So, and it's an effect that you've really not spent a lot on in this list, because it's not like Hex Wraiths aren't good in addition to their terror. It's not like having the Calm Wraith in the Ghouls isn't good in addition to the terror. It also means that fear causing units have to take terror checks, which is really great for those ghouls with their weapon skill.
They take
3.
for a terror test? No, the terror is downgrade to fear when in combat.
That's what I mean. It makes fear causing units take
fear test.
the fear test, from the terror, which again is really good.
Yeah, I guess like ogres and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you have ghouls that go kind of for softer targets, so maybe not the best armoured enemies, but you ones you want to throw a lot of dice on.
More numerous and less armoured ones.
Yeah, the Grave Guard for the really hard targets. Hexwraiths will clear chaff, and the bats will function as chaff for you.
They strike at the same time as the Grave Guard themselves.
Yeah, and that's another option, is chucking the bats in with the Grave Guard to create that situation, in which case you want bat darts. One bat wide. 2
Which
bats
is
deep.
often like... I don't know why people don't take more bat swarms. That making your strikes last is solid.
They're just easy to kill, and they're at your special slot.
Yeah.
So the casket is consistently strong for its points, and it doesn't give its victory points away quickly. It adds power dice. It gives you a really horrible like range threat spell that people feel like they have to stop. Now the comp score on this is a 0.
That's mad.
Now that's a very good score for
A Legion's army.
a Legion's army, but we have avoided some of the real big hitters. We've got no Red Fury.
Yeah.
We've got no Terrorgeists. We're very short of
archers and stuff like that.
chaff.
You've only taken 2
stuff.
units that are not part of your parent army.
Yeah.
Bat swarms are +1s. Grave Guards +1s.
Big unit. I think they offset themselves.
Yeah.
It does lack a level 4 as well.
Lad's level 3, so he could do some lifting, but he's not the big.
Yeah, and I've got here. It also avoids using the vast majority of what are considered the most powerful units in each book.
Yeah.
So overall, it's a good hammer and anvil army though. We'll talk about that on 20 Tactics as well. It's a good list. This is a strong list. A 0 as well. It's great. You're gaining nothing and losing nothing for taking it. It's cool. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna go on to a combat Tomb King army. Now,
Something you never see.
no. As your army can restore more lost wounds and you can march, suddenly an Undead Legion list makes you feel like you've got the chance to do a true Tomb King combat force. It also exploits the stacking of unstable wound reduction in this list really well, so the list grinds enemies to death. This one is a -3 on the 2022 compact.
So that's not unmanageable.
No, not at all. And Tomb Kings again are obviously the parent army book. So this army is led by a Tomb Prince or the Master Necromancer. The choice is yours.
Master Necro's leash of 8.
Oh yeah, they're only 8, aren't they? Yeah, so it would be the Tomb Prince.
The Tomb Prince leads.
Oh yeah, in fact I've got it marked there as the general. Yeah,
lovely,
so
yeah.
apologies. To be fair, Tomb Prince is not a slouch of a general.
No, he's got the same amount of wounds as any other sort of.
He's toughness 5 with 3 wounds. It's good. So Master Necromancer is your only lord. He's a level 4 wizard. He uses the Lore of Vampires and he has the Power Stone. Now I know what you're thinking. Hang on, Tomb King combat army. We got to go Lore of Vampires here. It makes for a much better combat army.
Van Hels, Hellish Vigor.
Restores loads more lost wounds as well.
It does, yeah. The Invocation.
So
You
yeah,
got the damage like the Gaze and Nagash.
Curse of Years. He's excellent with the
Years.
combat army because it's a damaging hex.
Yeah, it grinds out. It helps grind out the unit even quicker.
And that's what this list will do. And I do have the kind of stuff for this. I should sort it out and run it at some point. I think most of it is actually painted.
You have everything for all 3 of these armies.
Yeah.
10 years of Undead.
So, Master Necromancer, level 4 wizard or Vampire's Power Stone. Our general is a Tomb Prince. He has the Enchanted Shield, the Talisman of Endurance, and the Sword of Striking. So he's got his light armor for a 4-up, 5-up with +1 to hit.
It's awful.
Weapon skill 5 is okay.
You've made the most of the points value you have, the points allowance you have for this.
We've got a Tomb Herald Battle Standard Bearer. He has armor of silvered steel and a great weapon.
So Ablative Wound for Tomb Prince.
And that's it. It's ablative wounds for the Tomb Prince. And we have a Leech, and again, I think they get to take their armor saves against the wounds as well when they leap in front.
Funny.
So he's got a good one. I might be
Mr.
wrong.
President!
I might be wrong on that. We'll have to double check that. Lich Priest, level 2 wizard on the Lore of Nakara as well. So we're backing it up with Lore of Nakara. We're looking for the signature here. That's really important. One of those is definitely going to be Desert Wind, which allows us all to make a move as if it was the remaining move subphase. That's everyone within 12 or everyone within 24 if you boost it. Now, everyone within 12 is where you're going to be looking because they'll be within 12 of your Tomb Prince so they can march anyway.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be the double up. And that's a move, which means that you can march.
Which you weren't able to do, yeah.
Because you're in range, yeah. So
which you weren't able to do in the previous, the actual army book.
Exactly. So, core is 38 skeleton warriors with full command. And this is where our Tomb Prince is going to hang out with probably with his Tomb Herald mate.
Yeah.
They're just a big anvil.
Yeah, that's fair.
Big, tough anvil, weapon skill 5.
Sword and boards, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 units of 5 skeleton horse archers, which acts as chaff, and 2 units of skeleton archers with musicians and standards. There's 13 in each of those units, which your Master Necromancer will probably want to hang out in one.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe. We have to see. But I'd probably put
the Tomb Prince makes you a Master Necromancer. Oh, it doesn't mould, doesn't affect characters, does it? No.
But you could also have the Master Necromancer and the other wizard hanging out in the big block of skeletons in the second rank. Using
if
the
you go
full
bust,
command,
yeah.
You got a bust, yeah.
You're not going horde, you're going bust.
No, you go bust. You go bust with those skeletons. They're there to pin stuff. Then you've got 2 Kemrian War Sphinxes with Fiery Roar.
There you go.
Those are beasts. They're big monsters that do damage. They're backed up with 4 Necropolis Knights with a musician.
Yep.
Another good fighting unit which can now march. And a unit of 3 Morghast Harbingers and a unit of 2 Morghast Harbingers.
So you get the -2 straight off the bats.
Plus my BSB.
So you're -3. So within a 12-inch bubble.
Yep, so I've now got that whole group -3. My Kemrian War Sphinxes are both -4. And my Necropolis Knights.
And your Necro Knights, yeah.
Just wish I could have got Tomb Scorpions in here.
It's that times.
And I've got a casket as well.
Why not?
Why not? So I'm going to break it down, my notes. We've covered some of it. Tomb Prince, BSB going to block skeleton warriors to form an anvil to pin units in place. The path is cleared by archers, horse archers and the casket. The special slot packs a world of punch in this army with monstrous cavalry and 2 toughness 8 monsters to boot with flaming breath weapons. The Morghast hover means that they can charge over things and throw out a ton of attacks to make this army carry even more combat threat. The terror threat is awesome as well. We have 4 terror calls in units with the 2 Morghasts and the 2 battle cats.
Yep.
What really makes the list such a combat threat, however, is the combination of Master Necromancer and Lich Priest and the stacking of unstable wound reduction.
So the combination of vampires and Hairkara.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Vamp's magic restores wounds, particularly to the skeleton anvil, and the Morghasts easily and consistently, with Van Hals and Hellish Vigour to make any of those special choices even more deadly,
Yeah.
and Curse of Years will support this as well, not to mention the power of the Lore attribute. Magical move, 5+ ward save, and extra attacks with Killing Blow all come from the Lore of Nakara too, which means any of those you can hold on to. I like the magical move, but you could just keep the magical move option from your level 4 vampires as well. It's redundancy, tons of redundancy. You'll notice our combat hammers are all animated constructs or Morghasts.
Yeah.
Now combined with the BSB, meaning you're reducing their wounds by -3 to -4 from unstable.
Yep.
So you're seeing this picture developing of a list that's really hard to
unless you're
break up.
incredibly killing in combat, you're struggling to actually remove these models off the board.
Absolutely.
A lot of people find they kill kill Kemrian War Sphinx by combat res.
Yeah.
They're not.
And the thing is, when you look at even stuff like witches, if you can get the redirect and you can clip them with the skeleton block and say a unit of Morghasts in that combination, you're breaking the steadfast with the skeletons. The Morghasts will win you the combat off the flank and they'll be on the run. And the Morghasts are swift stride to overrun and catch up. Really powerful.
It's not often you see a Tomb King combat unit take down the Witch Star.
No, and it really can in this. And I've got here, the whole shape of this means that multiple units into one combat is far less dangerous than in a normal undead list because of the amount of crumble reduction. This makes for a great combat army overall.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of potential to gang up, and in a way, thanks to these combos, it's kind of like a bit of a hybrid multiple attacking threat and hammer and anvil list.
This is your Prius army list.
Yeah, you can kind of pin stuff and then counter it, or you can just gaggle stuff with like 2 units of Morghast, unit Necropolis Knights, or 2 battle cats.
Gang up in it.
Yeah, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, I do like it.
It's
always nice to see a combat Tomb King army.
Yeah,
You've only taken one thing from a different army list.
Just the wizards, yeah.
Just in the Master Necro.
So I'm not going.
You're going ham.
Mad there. No, I'm just looking at that and saying I do feel the Lore of Vampires is the keystone to make that work for me. So I've gone for it. But again, something we can definitely bring to the channel at some point. I just have to sort out a big block of skeleton warriors with full command, Tomb King ones.
You own skeleton warriors, yeah?
I've got loads, yeah.
Okay.
Just not got any built or painted.
Shall we do the what everyone's coming to
And
see?
finally, what you all waited to see, we have pure Undead Legion army list. as the supplement designed them to be used with 50% Lords and Heroes.
Here we go.
This army is unsurprisingly led by Nagash.
Why not?
We have a Lich Priest level 1 on the Lore of Nakara with a Dispel Scroll, and a Necromancer level 1 on the Lore of Vampires with the Book of Arcan.
Ooh.
We have a Calm Wraith, 38 Skeleton Warriors with full command of the Banner of Swiftness. These are Vampire ones.
Vampire skeletons, yeah.
So you can say the Magic Banner.
No.
4 units of 5 Skeleton Horse Archers. They are just all my chaff in the world, which is really important in this shape. 39 zombies with Musician and Champion.
That's not going to be 39 zombies at the end of the game.
It's not going to be 39 zombies at the end of turn 1. 2 units of 5 Hex Wraiths.
Yep.
Because again, what we're looking at here is to just block and to split. And as I said earlier, we don't want to have too much combat stuff that really gives away VPs in this type of list. And the Wraiths are great because they can do so much kind of damage whilst being reasonably tricky for some armies to deal with. We've got a Casket of Souls, and unsurprisingly we've got a Horror Titan who literally marches next to Nagash for the entire game.
I'm Nagash. This is Nagash Jr.
Yeah. That's it. So this is a magical powerhouse that revolves around one bony demigod.
The big bony boy.
The Hex Wraiths are a good, cheap way to offer additional threat, with the core made up of control units and 2 anvil blocks. So they're the foundation of our army. There isn't a lot of hammer power in this list. I wonder why. Ultimately, the list comes down to one thing, and it is magic. With a Casket, Horror Titan, and support wizards to do the job of making sure Nagash delivers the big time.
The big time!
So I've got here.
You're having the big time!
Raise the units you think will best hurt your opponent, tailoring your damage each game with Nagash's Lore of Undead buffs. It really is easy. So you can say, you know, Terrorgeist are the option here. Blood Knights are going to do me the option here. I want a big unit of Crypt Horrors. They're going to do me what I need. Let's have a large unit of Necronites this time. Whatever you think is going to be the unit to win you the game. Morghast or another one. Yeah, we didn't even think about it.
You can summon Morghast.
That's what you summon.
Yeah.
You don't mess. You know, that becomes so.
It's tailored. It's tailoring your list legally.
Yes. So I'd look at 5 or so spells on Lore of Undeath, 1 on Vampires, 1 on Nakara, both mainly for signature spells there. And then particularly Desert Wind with those Hex Wraiths is particularly unpleasant to make them sort of move another 16 and do loads of additional damage. And 1 on Light, because I would want to think about having the option in every game to raise a Light Council as well. But again, because he tailors at the start of the game, if you don't think a Light Council is going to bring you anything, you just don't take that one. You go 6 on Undeath instead.
Yeah. What I do like this is that you could potentially you could drop the Casket and Horror Titan and just go all in and say I'm going to summon it during the game. I'm going to use the points to something else. You can do that for a lot of stuff.
You could, but if I'm summoning monsters, I want to be summoning a Mortarch, or I want to be summoning.
Yeah, you want to say you want to.
You know, War Sphinxes or Terrorgeists.
You want to waste your time doing that sort of thing.
I don't want to lose that spell for a turn. And again, with a Casket, it's a War Machine. If I'm summoning a War Machine, I want catapults.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Nagash. He can do whatever. He can do what he wants.
Yeah.
He just does what he wants.
So I've got here. Thanks to the tripling of both range and points values, the units that the raised elements will win you the game. Imagine raising 10 Crypt Horrors or a Mortarch. Well, in this list, you can, and relatively easily. It looks moderate on paper. It feels absolutely outrageous on the tabletop by turn 3. And Nagashi's no slouch in combat either.
So we remember as well, all those summoned units you are going to be summoning, they're free. You're not giving points away.
No.
And the units in your army that you paid for, they're not expensive. The big expense in the army is Nagash.
I'll tell you where the Swarm one comes in that we totally forgot about. Yeah? Spirit Host.
Are they swarms? Any points are they?
45 a base.
Are they 45 base?
45 a base. So that's exactly 5 bases.
If you with
Nagash on a basic cast value. You cannot ignore 5 bases of them being dropped in front of your best unit if you haven't got a magic weapon in there.
And we all know that Spirit Hosts are some of the most annoying tar pit units in the game because they're ethereal. Imagine you have 5.
20 wounds?
20 wounds. You have 5 of them and they're free. You're not getting anything from killing them. Going all trouble to kill them and you're not getting anything for it.
Again, dropping Banshees next to enemy artillery pieces and screeching them off because they're out of the General's leadership range. There's so many useful little tactics
Nagash,
with this guy.
It is literally, you tailor your army, what you're playing, to what you're fighting. And it's ridiculous. Yeah, people say, oh, it's magic, you can stop it, you can throw all your dice to spelling a spell. Cool, you throw all your dice to stop a spell, I'm going to use all my other dice to cast this one now.
Yeah.
You can't stop it all.
And to be honest, I could have been even more harsh. I could have forgot about Book of Arcane. I could have looked at Forbidden Rod and just killed that guy for the power dice. Yeah. But you very often don't need it, because you raise Manfred as the first Mortarch that you raise. And
you have
to
get counters first, so you want to raise that.
As the first Mortarch you raise.
Oh, yeah. First Mortarch.
Yeah. Well, you raise...
the first Mortarch you raise, you can summon the other ones as well if you want to.
Yeah, you can, yeah. You raise 20 Graveguard in their back line, 300 points of Graveguard turn as first spell. That's a must stop. You raise...
And then you summon Manfred.
Yeah, and then you start raising cheap characters.
Turn 2, you're summoning Arcan.
If you want.
Turn 3, you summon Neferata.
Manfred's the main man here.
Manfred's the main one because you want the Master of Black Arts.
He's the main man because he gives you the Master of Black Arts, and he also gives you that whole, he'll trade his attacks for power dice. Which means you can use him to cast some basic stuff like magical moves and things with his own dice, and then use the rest of the dice.
When you summon like the big Mortarch, you have especially Manfred or Arcan, you are then competing the dice from Nagash.
You're not though, because you're not you're not. You don't. This is why I wouldn't summon Arcan. I'd just summon Neferata and Manfred.
Because Arcan would want the dice to cast his own spells.
Yeah, because what have you summoned him for? Nagash will cast, and those two will fight.
Let them fight.
Let them fight.
Nagash is mad.
Yeah.
Nagash is absolutely insane.
So, yeah, really unpleasant is what we're saying. At some point, maybe we'll try and get something together. We always have these grand plans for the channel, don't we? And then
Nagash is a tough one, because we have to do a 50% Laws and Arrows game, or we play a 4,000 point game.
Yeah, it could be a big boy beatdown. We haven't done a big boy for a little while, so it could be something we look at.
Who's he fight?
Cetra? I don't care, I'm using him.
No.
You can't fight Cetra, I need those units to raise.
No. What the true question is you fight against Nagash. See if one of us does it. Anyway, shall we...
So, we've made our way through the first of the End Time supplements, taking the path through the Shadow of Death to find some new units and a new army list. Whilst Undead Legions are strong, they are probably the most balanced of the End Times army builds, and got some fantastic models too. But crucially, thanks to the way you can mix Tomb Kings and Vampire Counts, they are pretty competitive, and a wide variety of builds are available to members of the Mortuary Cult or Necromantic Acolytes alike. That was a good sentence. Quite enjoyed that. I got through it without making any mistakes. I think this is...
No, there you go. I was waiting for it.
I think this is when the End Times peaked for me, and we hope you found something cool in this video to try in your next game.
Just remember, this is tame.
Yeah, this is tame. This is really the peak. Tame. This really is the peak.
Peak for me was Glotkin, but I think once it got to Kane, it all went.
I think it was stupid in Glotkin. Is that when I got Carl Franz Ascendant?
Yes.
Yeah, it was beyond ridiculous when he was introduced. Let us know on all of our social media channels or email us if you think this has helped. And, get the...
Oh, what are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. Look, followers of Nagash at home, get your models out, make it happen. We've given you some really competitive, amazing stuff. Forget the scripts, go back to the Night of the Realm Mustering Ground, check out all of our other exclusive content.
Get Nagash because he's a good model. If you don't use him, he's a fantastic centerpiece.
Get the Big Bone Daddy, get him on the table, make it happen for yourselves, because this book is good. It is good. There's great options in it.
It's good. Lore of Undeath is good on Nagash. It's always fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Because although it's really like overpowered and stuff, like sometimes overpowered.
Oh yeah, no, it is on him.
Yeah. But you're like, it's just fun because you go, my entire army is zombies. What, you're not going to kill anything? Oh, some Terrorghasts.
Yeah, amazing. and again, you know what? Empire players. Warriors of Chaos players, check those special characters out.
Valson,
as well. Massively overlooked.
Valson is
really good.
Crom, I've overlooked Crom a little bit. I think he's actually, for what his points is, he's solid.
I think he's great for his points. Yeah. Really do. And that is it. So we will see you next time on the deep dive. I've already said go back to the Night of the Realm Mustering Ground, fill your boots, tell your friends. We will see you really soon.
See you later.
Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
Are you alright?
Do it for Warhammer!